flattery will get you. Hello? Well, flattery will get you everywhere.
Hello, lovelies. How's everybody doing this evening? I'm back visiting holy sites, and the last time I came to look at some holy sites was back in January. But apparently the stars aligned, and I had 3 new holy sites, which I haven't yet gone to see on stream. Though a couple of them might pop any minute, so this was always going to be a bit of a punt. But hello to everybody who's in chat. Let me turn my lovely loading screen off. Speaking of today's tip about skies, you're about to see some in a lovely mustard yellow. Thank you, Magranon. So I'm currently over at the Mag Fissure on Deliverance. This one is due to pop any moment in the next 2 or 3 days, probably. So I gather there have been quite a lot of people here over the past couple of weeks, but they are starting to drift away now, largely in preparation for the friend along, which starts in just over 19 hours over on Pristine. So we're starting here. I've got 2 more servers to visit and 2 more holy sites to see once we've had a proper look at this one. But first of all, hello to everybody who's in chat. Hi Scooter, hi Moomin, hi Ruffle. Hello Tantail, thank you Myra and Bun for the resubs, you're very kind. Hello Memers. Hello anybody else who is lurking. Hello Madoon. Look Ma, I'm famous. Yeah, there he is, give us a wave. Give us a wave.
How are you?
There we go. So we've got one of Madoon's tunes just here at the moment. We did have a Ruffle tune here earlier, but I don't know that we've got one now. Ruffle, have you shuffled all of yours back for prep? I know Myra and Bun have already have packed up and gone. And we've got a lovely little, this beautiful little cluster over here, which I sincerely hope all belong to the same person, because look at that lovely little array of tunes. It looks like they're about to start doing the can-can. and I've been desperately waiting all day for them to, you know, do some kind of in-sync animation, but we're not there yet. You're on your way back. Oh, the slaying, of course. You know, an hour ago, I was diligently writing my news page because I could have sworn the slaying was tomorrow, and I was like, well, I better tell people about the slaying that starts tomorrow, and then there's the friend along. And then I went and clicked over to the page to be like, what time does it start? And it was like, event started. So I was like, okay. Entirely different news page for today. Let's just chuck that one out. It's all fine. How was the slaying? You're heading home, memers. Ruffle's on her way back. The only thing they do is scratch themselves. The plague blob, I'll show you a plague blob later because we've got one of the holy sites that we're going to visit is a pillar of decay, and boy are those things gribbly. I popped by earlier today. That's what our warm-up was. That was a sunrise at a pillar of decay, which is a lovely bloody red when you step inside its aura, and then kind of shifts to purple as you get from night to day. But as you can see, speaking of weird sky effects, this is one of the ones that you get inside mag fissures, upside down rainbows. How about that? I mean, it's pretty fancy. Some of the skies are more interesting than others in some of the holy sites. I have to say, Mag's got some weird ones, but the fissures ones are slightly better than the Mag Otherworldly Monoliths, because they just sort of they're a little bit underwhelming. Mag's holy rites as well, his global casts also are less colourful than I would like in terms of changes to the sky, but this very sickly hue that we have around here, this is pretty much a constant. So you don't see the rainbow, Madoon. What kind of graphic settings are you on? Because I don't know if I would see it in low res settings, but I always see it. Like when I come here on Crim, or come to a fissure on Crim. Jackal's really quite nicely aligned with it at the moment as well. But anyway, hang on. I have been patiently standing here for, when did I log in? A little while ago. And the mag fissure has not yet spat something out at me, so hopefully at some point whilst I'm talking it will. So for anybody who hasn't been to a mag fissure before and doesn't really know what it's about, doesn't usually have a pig in it, that's a local accessory. Oh, I see. So yeah, maybe you don't get the rainbows like that on all settings. It may also be something to do with like some of those particular toggles on settings. But so mag fissures, of all of the holy sites, mag fissures seem to have sort of come away in the longer term as being the most popular, probably followed by, I would say, Akashic Mirrors, which are very good for skilling and passive sleep bonus gain. The reason that mag fissures are so popular is because roughly once an hour, every hour, not quite on the nose, it will pulse, as all holy sites do, and when a mag fissure pulses, it will spit out an archaeology fragment into the inventory of everybody who is standing in the influence of this holy site, whether or not you are a mag follower. So all of the holy sites have some effects that affect everybody in their range, and some effects that only benefit followers and priests of that religion in their range. But the mag one is one of the more generous ones for people who are followers of any religion or none. And that's because the fragments that it spits out are A, some of them, not fragments that you can get through archaeology or through any other means. B, set at a quality which is linked to the power of the fissure itself. So this one is tainted at the moment, so needs some purifying, but it's at power 94 with a little bit of corruption sitting on it. So right now, what it's going to be doing is, I didn't even get onto the creatures yet, but I guess we're going to talk about those shortly. What is... There you are. Hello, Fog Spider. And that wasn't even the fissure. What was I saying? Oh my god, grasshopper brain. Yes, so it will be spitting out fragments which are probably quality 90 something, probably with a couple of points of damage because it's corrupted at the moment. But that means that if you sit a bunch of tunes here, they have to be premium tunes. It won't do it for non-premium ults, for example. But people will tend to AFK with a bunch of premium ults here, or sit here quietly skilling or doing other things on their mains sometimes. And passively across the course of a day, about once an hour, get a nice, really high quality mag frag spat out of the fissure into their inventory. Sometimes those are rare. My rare alloy Drake statue frag came from here. Have I drunk recently? I have. How disappointing. Let's find somewhere to put you later. But so, I mean, this can be quite a nice way of collecting nice high quality archaeology frags. Some of them are a little bit baffling though, and I wonder if, there we go. You'll see that a bunch of people discard them. And so things like marble planters, which are really easy to make. 120 frags. I can't see many people collecting those to do it. You've also got things like marble tables, which, in fairness, are not easy to make in as much as they have a skill threshold. But they do not take much in the way of materials, and so I still find it kind of baffling that it takes like 120 or something items, frags, to potentially make a marble table or, you know, a marble planter, and yet I can throw together a nice weapon or piece of armor in 3 to 5 frags. A little bit weird there. But there are some interesting things that get thrown out of these. Why are people sacking low? Oh my god, why are you guys sacking low quality gems? Never mind. It will also throw out tat frags like ore and shards and things, which tend to be the things that people throw away. But it will also, you know, throw out things like dioptra frags and unusual tools and horseshoes and the kind of stuff that you can't otherwise find in archaeology, as well as a bunch of statue frags. So it is quite nice as a sort of just passive collection site. Left a pile. Wait. You like grabbing other people's cast-off standtail. Well, the trouble is with mag fissures, because everybody leaves their alts logged in all of the time, even when people are logging stuff that is trash to them but treasure to other people into the fissure to get sacrificed, or into the altars nearby, if there are altars, because people will often make altars at holy sites as well. Because they're all still logged in, you've got prox perms on everything, so it's very rare that you can pick up other people's trash before somebody's like, oh, it's full, and just sacks the lot. But it does kind of kill me when I see really, really high quality, for example, high quality alloy lumps, because you only need 3 of them, and high quality alloys are a pain in the arse to make, and if you make runes. So it makes me sad that some of those get sacked. It always makes me sad that low quality gems get sacked, because, I mean, those are super useful. But I have to say I would also be here sacking shards and ores and things like that for the most part. Now, I'm not a mag follower, so I can't try and purify this. Look by the forge. Wait, there's a barrel for unwanted frags too. See, now that's nice, because at least then they don't get sacked. Let's go and have a look. There's also, somebody's very helpfully built a fountain up here. As you can see, some people have been doing things in the forges, creating forges up here and doing work. So people have been, I guess, assembling lumps and things in the forges and cooking some of the many things that spawn here, and I'll talk about those in a minute. Got beefsteak there as well. Speaking of spawns, we've got some gorillas around here. It would help if I was pressing the right keys as well. But so, yeah, there's... Wait, is this the barrel? There you go. Unwanted frags exchange. Is it far enough away from the fissure that one can take things in and out, do you think? See, except... it's all of the things that I don't want, but out of interest, is this far enough? There you go. So this is, well, this might be out of proximity perms range, or it might just be that whoever put those in there has logged. But it's nice that you guys have set up a little frag exchange over there. I approve of that. You want them to happen on NFI. Mimas, do they still not have holy sites on NFI? Or have I missed something? What? Hang on. Let me just go catch up. Yes, Mima's frags. Tantail, you need to premium up for the friend along. So the last time this spurt, the last eruption, the last pulse event, Tara says was around about an hour ago, so we should be getting one anytime soon. It isn't all that exciting, to be honest. We just get a little bit of fancy text over here, and we'll get a frag appearing in my inventory. Myra had a 95 QL lantern with 3 runes on from a fissure. I mean, I don't know what quality my alloy rare Drake statue ended up at, but I got quite a lot of Drake frags out of fissures, quality 90 and above, including that rare one. Oh, it's just one person throwing the gems away, Ruffle. It's still frustrating, though. I want to be like, no, give me your gems. I'll have all of your gems. So NFI, do you not... Oh, I see, Myra. So Myra, you use a cart and therefore it bypasses the proximity perms because you set everybody with permissions on the cart. Is that right? That's a good plan. The problem tends to be not that people would like other people to be able to take them and don't. It's just that people chuck them out of their inventory because they don't want them and they don't care. With a little bit of better communication, we probably could work out a better kind of a system. But I'm sure most people are keeping them. Okay, so yeah, so you have got holy sites on NFI. It's just that you've not seen a fissure yet, Mimas. So, in fairness, so uneven what kind you get. So is this because on NFI you've got an awful lot of people doing Vin missions? For example, because if you've got a lot of Venora followers and a lot of people actively doing Vin stuff, I guess you would get more Vin ones than others. Communication in Worm. It happens, Tantail. I mean, usually not in local, admittedly, but it happens. You tend to find that we get a lot of mag stuff on SFI. Like, we tend to have the other mag site, which is an Otherworldly Monolith. We tend to get those kind of almost back-to-back dotted across the servers. So those ones we get quite frequently. I've not been paying so much attention recently, but I know we had sort of like 2-3 Akashic Mirrors in relatively quick succession dotting across servers. I haven't been to a wellspring of Venora in a while. But certainly some are more common than others. Do we know what makes them spawn? I don't think we know specifically what makes them spawn, but I seem to recollect that it's to do with powering up different gods. So it's partly, I think, tied to the mission system, and it's partly tied to things like global casts and stuff like that. I don't know if they. I mean, they wouldn't have actually given us the maths because this is Worm, but I feel like when they first announced these, there's probably somewhere in patch notes on the forum, if it isn't on the wiki, a little bit of information that tells you what makes them more or less likely to spawn. Just having a quick glance over the general holy sites page. Also, how easy they are to find, in fairness, varies an awful lot, because you've got things like the Pillars of Decay, the lib ones, which can only spawn on tar or peat, which means it's much easier to go looking for those if you suspect that it's time that there's one out there, or if you pray and you get a vision that tells you that there's one out there. Whereas, for example, fissures, pain in the arse to spot, because until they're activated, they're literally just a lump on the ground somewhere really, really high on top of a mountain, usually. So sometimes people stumble across them. Sometimes they're kind of a pain in the arse to reach. You found a big dog at the holy site. Good for you, Moomin. You found this one, did you, Ruffle? Well done, you. You on your new mining adventures? Or were you just out exploring? So, I don't think it actually says on the wiki anything about what encourages them to spawn. But I'm sure I didn't imagine when they first introduced them telling us sort of the things that made them more likely. At least I don't think I did. We did do a lot of kind of speculating in those early days. Hello, Vulcan. How you doing? Oh, exploring. What were you looking for? Were you dragon hunting, Ruffle? You want a big chicken friend, Tantail? Well, you want Sampos for that. It's possibly not exclusively Sampos. Theoretically, you could get a big chicken friend at a wishing tree, but Sampos are the place to go for passive mobs, for sort of like farm creatures and things, for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because Sampos spawn more kinds of creatures than any other holy site, and secondly, because Sampos spawn them faster than any other holy site. So I have got almost a full flock of holy sheep, holy cows, holy chickens, holy seals. I did have a full flock of holy pheasants, but something happened to them that we do not talk about on Celebration, of all places. And most of those have come from Sampos. My champion horses came from Akashic Mirrors, but my ridiculously gigantic chooks and sheep and things, those all came from Sampos, pretty much. Oh, she's back. There she is. Hello, you. I mean, I just assumed that it was you because it would be weird if somebody else was coming up and kissing me on stream. So, you want to go wandering about Delhi? Well, you could, Tantail. You've arrived early. You've got some time to go explore, as long as you've dropped your tent down, you know. But anyway, yes. So, you've got a burger place in your city called Holy. Lovely. But that brings me on to my third point. So the other thing that holy sites will do, all holy sites, is they will spawn creatures in their sort of in the radius around them. They actually extended that radius with a patch, I don't know, about 6 months, a year into holy sites being out. So they used to spawn consistently closer. Now they've actually got quite a big spawn range. But for most holy sites, there's sort of I don't know, 4 or 5 creature types that they spawn generally. They might have a few more in their pool, but that's where I say Sampos are the exception, because Sampos spawn, I don't know, more than a dozen different types, 15, something like that. So it looks like mag fishers spawn conditioned lions. They definitely spawn gorillas, as do the other mag sites as well. What else has this one been spawning, those of you that have been sat at a fisher? It's been a while, you know. I got so involved in the first year of holy sites when I was doing my early creature collecting, but then I kind of put them down for a bit. So a lot of these creatures might just be things that are wandering around off the mountainside, but anything that you find that's conditioned, that's probably been spawned by the holy site. No, Mimas, frags are specific to this one. So every kind of holy site has different boons that it grants, and the mag fissure, the glowing fissure specifically, is the one that will spit frags at you. They also all have, in addition to a passive benefit for anybody in their area, they also all have, for followers of that god, an activity that you can do by right-clicking on them. I'm a Vin follower, so I wouldn't get the option anyway. I think with this one, the activity, it would be unearth. And you can dig gems out of it once an hour, roughly, when it has its pulse event. As Madine says, the mag pillar, which is an Otherworldly Monolith, that's the one that spawns a hillside of meteorites. So if you saw this on the stream that Calvert and I did yesterday as we were sailing around on Xanadu, we looked up and we saw a mountain just absolutely pebble dashed with meteorites. There will have been an Otherworldly Monolith near there, because that's the only thing that gets them spawning in that quantity and in that concentration. And if there aren't people there actively, like, tinking them down all of the time, those meteorites, they build up so fast and in a really quite narrow range. Wait a bit. Ooh. I'm confused every time that sort of like has a little thing, so I'm like, did it just pulse? No, it did not. So you'll find sort of odd meteorites scattered around on mountains where people have just never reached them, for example, from when there have been global casts. Ritual of the Sun, even, which is the mag global cast, will have meteorites falling scattered all across the land. The way that you know that it's been an otherworldly monolith is because there will be a lot of meteorites in a really very small space. And like I said, if you don't have somebody there pretty much constantly tinking them down, you just end up with like a field of meteorites, all lovely and glowing hot. And if the otherworldly monolith has been looked after, all really high quality, so you just mine sort of pure lumps straight off them, hot and ready to combine in lovely high qualities. And you also get Imperium lumps from some of those, so that's where those were introduced to the game. So, but yes, so the fissure, that one gives you frags, but every holy site gives you something different, and some of them are more desirable than others. This is one of the more desirable ones, which is why these ones tend to be well attended, and people tend to park a lot of alts at them. You're sailing by Little Venice, are you, Mimas? Hello, Wolfmeyer. A few other things as well as gems, but quite rare. So this spawns moon metals sometimes, right? So that activity that I was talking about, where once an hour after a pulse event, if you're a mag follower or priest, you can unearth things from it. Mostly those will be gems, but I think those can also sometimes be moon metal lumps. Is that right, Wolfmeyer? And maybe something else. Like, I think there's other weird shit in the pool as well. I've got an active, not moon metal. Okay. It's the other mag one that does that one. It's the Otherworldly Monolith. So that one that you get Imperium lumps from, I think that one you can get moon metals out if you're very lucky. For the most part, you won't, because you get whee, there we go. It's just pulsed. So we've got a metal torch fragment. It's at higher damage. That's because when a holy site has a pulse event, it will gain corruption. So its corruption's now up to 5, and that's the equivalent in damage on this frag. Blood and treasure maps. There you go. But yes, I got waylaid. I was talking about creatures. So this one will spawn gorillas. It will spawn mountain lions. It looks like, because there's a few people here, it's probably not spawning a whole lot of things, which aren't aggressive things, which aren't quite quickly getting tidied up. But there's a hardened sheep there, which suggests to me that it also spawns sheep. So this is probably one of the good places to go to try and get sheep if you want them. It may also be spawning bears, but that could be a local spawner. But the other thing that's nice about these is not only do they spawn those kinds of creatures, but they'll spawn conditioned versions of those creatures, even if conditioned versions of those creatures otherwise don't exist in the game. Sheep, hellhounds. There you go. And yes, from the monolith, it's the monoliths that give you a chance for moon metal. Cool. I think, in fairness, yes, I think before I got excited about collecting all of the frags from magfishers, I think I probably got quite an awful lot of my sheep from magfishers, my conditioned sheep. Sadly, they are not still, they are not yet pretty colours like other conditioned creatures that were in the game before holy sites. But there you go. So it has pulsed. I'm not mag, so I can't dig something out of it. I do have a mag priest, which I contemplated portaling over, but given that this magfisher is probably going to die in the next couple of days, and we've got a friend along, I decided to leave my portal ping priest at a portal. You've got many pet bowls full of frags from this one. Yeah. I had 5 pet bowls worth of frags from the last fissure, which I wasn't even really actively camping all that well. I'd posted like 2 or 3 alts there that I was remembering to log in sometimes, and I was just filling up the bathtub in the manor house at full spring with pet bowls full of frags that I was just bringing back in my pockets from all of the alts that I had parked there. But yeah, so I've got a champion gorilla, for example, in Brambleheim, in the wildlife park, and that was kited back from a mag holy site. I think that one was actually spawned by a monolith rather than a fissure. But so, as I say, for these ones, I mean, they can be a little bit of a pain to find because they spawn on rock tiles, and they're usually very, very high up. You tend to find them on tops of mountains and things. This one is actually pretty accessible. If anybody wants to come and have a peek in the next 24 hours, hoping that it is still here. Can I teach you about the UFO-looking thing? Probably not, Moomin, but you know what? We're going to see two lib sites. We're going to see the both kinds of lib site today. So you can tell me more about it when we get there, and we shall see. Because those are actually the ones that I have the least experience of. But yeah, this one is actually easier to reach than most of the fissures that I've been to. We're quite close to the coast here. We're actually quite an easy walk up here. So you can see we've got some boats parked down there. One of mine's down there, and in fact, there's my faux priest sat in my boat down there. I have been to mag fissures that were in much, much more difficult to reach places where it took us like half an hour to get up there on foot each time. But this one's pretty accessible. It just won't be around much, much longer. Not maps, Wolfmeyer. So source crystals, strange bone fragments. That was the one I was forgetting. That was the one. You'd like more sheep in game? Oh, we're back on our worm knitting campaign. I mean, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So, as I say, people have been keeping most of the animals here in check, so there aren't going to be many nasty things here. I dropped by one of the lib sites earlier today to do that warm-up, though, and I got set upon by a lot of quite nasty things. I almost died, in fact. I had my priest hurriedly casting summon by my boat because I thought I might have to hike myself out to escape death at very short notice. Actually, I was just about okay, but I went a little bit unprepared. So this is spawning a few things. The gorillas you can't tame and take home, but if you have a deed near enough by, you can actually kite gorillas home, which is how I got my champion gorilla on release, by baiting it and making it follow me home, and then tricking it into a pen and locking it in, like a kidnapper. But the sheep and things, you can just go running after them and take them home, as Ruffle has been doing for this pretty much this whole fissure. So I'm going to leave these nice folks here. See you later, Taro. See you later, Ruffles. And I'm going to go back to my boat. And now, you know that you're coming into the influence of the holy site by this little sort of like buff icon up here. You'll also, though, it's really, really noticeable, the skies will change as you walk in and out. So this icon's going to go, but also as soon as I step out of the range, the sky's just going to change. Now this is quite powered up, so its influence stretches quite far. There it goes. See? And now if I step back in, it's going to go back up again. Da-da-dam. It's like magic. It could be around for a week or more, Madoon, just to spite you, just because it knows that you want to go to the friend along. We've got some more gorillas down here where they're spawning further away or just wandering away from the site. And there may be more evidence of some other mag-spawned creatures around here. But at the very least, I will say most of the sites will spawn creatures that you are familiar with, albeit with conditions that you don't usually see on them. The lib sites, though, are different. They spawn some lib specials, which is why, even though I don't know that much about them, I kind of wanted to go and see. You have seen that green sky before. Frag along. Totally could. Speaking of sheep, Ruffle, your deed on Exodus is surrounded by wild sheep at the moment, and I don't know if they're just sort of sympathetic spawns, because of the sheep that you've been collecting there. But I thought it was cute that I went past your deed and there were just fields of sheep just wandering around nearby, probably messing up your deed ratio. So now that we're away from it, at least when you're searching for it once it's already been discovered and activated, because holy sites are dormant when they first spawn and they require a priest to go and activate them. Pretty sure a follower can't do it. So now that it is activated, at least when you're coming into the range, apart from seeing a whole bunch of people in local, you can see signs of it. You know, from a Sampo, you get like a green plume of light. From a fissure, you get this black smoke. Do people get upset if they... No. I wouldn't have thought so. Like, people sometimes get upset, like when people set off... A follower can activate. Okay, good. That's good to know. People sometimes get upset if people set off global casts when they realise they're available. But, I mean, there's nothing really to get upset about with activating a holy site. It just makes it findable for everybody else. So, when one is sitting dormant, a priest praying might get a hint from the god about it. I think there's probably other ways that you can discover that they exist. But once they're activated, anybody who is a follower of any religion can at any altar do a locate holy sites action. And in fact, there's an altar over there, so I can show you. There's a Vin altar specifically up here, so I can show you. Also, am I carrying... Oh, I'm carrying a fog spider corpse. I was like, why am I so heavy? Am I thirsty yet? I don't really have a good reason to be carrying that around. I suppose that can go. But I'll show you how you... Once a holy site has been activated, you just need to be on the server to find it. So, for example, if you use Wormnode, Wormnode will list when there is a holy site on any given server, but it will only be marked on the map if somebody has gone and marked it on the map. So even if it isn't marked on the map, if Wormnode's telling you that there's a certain god has a holy site on a certain server, you could, for example, just portal to a start town and then pray at the altar of whichever god you follow. You don't actually need to pray. You do I'll show you now. You do this. So if you right-click on one, you'll get locate holy sites. And it's got a little bit of a timer, and then it will show you where they are. And it will show you what they are, importantly. So we're on Deliverance, and this is where we are. This is the Glowing Fissure of Mag. So that's how you find where they are once somebody has activated them. And that's really, like, what activating does is it starts a timer, because holy sites tend to be active for around about 2 weeks, give or take a few days. And it makes it so that anybody can use an altar to then find where it is and go and assemble and tend it. One of the things that we didn't talk about up there, although I know I talked about it quite a lot on the last stream, is how you tend holy sites. This one is tainted at the moment, so ideally the people around it would not be praying at it while it's tainted. Instead, they would be trying to purify it. Because all the time that it's tainted, not only are its effects weakened, but people who are using the holy site's special actions, or praying or purifying it, they're more likely to get backlash effects. Like, for example, it might spawn some vengeful creatures at them, or if it's, it might make their eyes bleed, it might do them some damage. So the etiquette around holy sites is less about who activates them and when, and more around what you do with a holy site while you're at it. And all the time that it's got a taint, you want to be focusing on getting it untainted, i.e. purifying it, which uses exorcism skill. And as soon as it's back to being its blessed or sacred version, i.e. it's purified, then you go back to praying to power it up. Doesn't tend to do enough damage to kill you, just hurts you a little bit. But the vengeful creatures that it spawns, particularly if it spawns them, for example, on a squishy alt that you've got there just kind of passively praying, those can be a bit deadly if you're not well equipped for them. We're about to get a really, really lovely sunrise, though, and you know what? I just got in my boat. Can I get up there in time? Not sure I can. I don't think I know what happens to a sunrise when you're inside the influence of a holy site, but I'm not convinced I'm going to get a chance to get back up there before the colour shift changes. There's a venerable raging sheep down here, Ruffle. Don't know if you're full up on raging sheep, but just in case. See, we've already missed the best bit of the color shift. On some of the holy sites, the sort of the color filter on the sky, like, doesn't do anything terribly exciting. With sunrise and sunset, but on some of them it's gorgeous. And I can't actually remember how it is with mag fissures. Am I going to get in range in time? Not hugely, no. Also, I'm probably about to go sliding down this mountainside because I didn't really pick my path terribly well. Okay, we are back in range of it. Oh, look at that. It's bright blue. That's quite cool. So, she says sliding back down the mountainside. No! There we go. Right, so I'm back in range of it, and now we've got... It was mustard yellow at night, and it's now shifting to a really very blue. Which probably...
Whoops. Nobody saw that,
Which
right?
probably won't look that strange until I step outside of it, and then you'll see the difference between the mag fissure skies and the normal skies. So if I now walk back out of its range, you'll see as soon as I've dropped out of its influence. There we go. That's what the sky is actually like at this time of day, with the sun just rising. And back into it. So good. Anyway, I'm going to stop playing with sunrises now, and I'm now going to not... Whoa! To not fall off that. Mealy. That might have been my second time in a week trying to jump into an open cave and missing.
Magnificent.
So, she's never full on sheep. Oh, it is a venerable one, though. So did you see Ruffle, where I was... The sheep, where is it? It's just on this side of the mountain, basically. There's a venerable...
Whoops.
I'll turn my UI back on.
Nobody saw that, right?
I think have I just accidentally screenshotted something? No, I haven't. There is a venerable raging sheep just on the water side of the mag fissure, on the sort of the west side towards the water if you want one. But I'm going to go back to my boat, and we're going to go and take ourselves off to Celebration. We're going to go to Celebration first to look at one of the Lib Holy sites, a particularly gruesome one. But first... Oh no, that bear, it is starving. I could have fed it a fog spider. Sorry, bear. How's the wind? Oh, look, I did take a bunch of screenshots. A breeze. Yeah, I'll live with it. So yeah, as I say, like, if the timings had been better, I'd have encouraged more people to come and actually check this one out. As it is, it's probably only going to last... I mean, it could go any time today. It may be around for a couple more days yet, but also we've got the friend along coming up. So I imagine most people... ooh, glowies. I imagine most people who aren't already here are prepping for the friend along or just doing other things back on Deed. But if you're nearby, or if you fancy going for a sail, you could just come and have a peek and see if this one's still here. Just keep an eye on Worm Node to see if it has popped before you leave home. Oh no, Mimas, you've done it again. Well, you know what I'm going to have to do? I'm probably going to have to do some double or possibly a triple border hop. I haven't worked out my route between the second and third holy site. So for anybody who's been finding themselves tripping over on those lately, you can watch me try not to cock it up, because even I sometimes do, and I travel and I do sort of fancy border hops, double and triple border hops all the time, but I still sometimes mess it up. So we are just heading away from here. So this holy site was on the northwest side of Deliverance. I'm going to head across Deliverance, and then I'm going to be heading up onto the southeast side of Celebration, because the Lib site that we're going for is about here, over on Celebration, so we're going to go for that one next. And then the third one that we're going to go after that is Pristine, and that is somewhere in the middle over here on Pristine. I think think that's about right. Let me have a look. Yes. Yeah, so the third one that we're going for is right in the middle of pristine. Thankfully, there is, I think... Yes, there is a horse in this boat. And also an octopus corpse. I don't think it's the one that... No, because the one that I was playing with on stream a week ago is still being an octocopter in the manor at Thorspring. Oh. None of them are as bad as Xanadu. I mean, true. Xanadu is quite a lot. And you know what? I confidently, for that stream yesterday, I was like, we can cross Xanadu in a stream. You know, I mean, we're going to get a little bit distracted on the way, but it will be fine. It will be fine. But I always forget just how distracted Calvin and I get when we go on a sail. So halfway across Xanadu. We made it halfway across Xanadu in 3 hours. Whoops. Oh no, Mimas. Wait, did you drop other tunes at the border? Are they all okay? It's not too bad when they're logged in. It's when you've accidentally logged somebody out in a boat and you forget. That's the real fucker, because you don't realise you've just dropped them at a border. Usually until it's too late. You're all in the gnar. Very good. So yes, so that was a mag fissure. So what I haven't done, and actually what I might do while I'm sailing, is I don't have a Lib Priest who's currently premium, but I had one premiumed in the past to go and take advantage of the Lib Holy Sites, because I wanted to see what you could get out of all of the different Holy Sites. And because I'm a Vin follower, I'm not going to be able to do the interaction with the 2 Lib sites we're going to see. But what I can do is I can mail myself some of the weird shit that you get out of them that I got from my Lib Priest. So I'm just going to log a tune in back over at Brambleheim and send myself some things once I've crossed the border. I'm not going to make the mistake of sending them and then promptly leaving the server, she says. Hopefully. Who do we want to log in? This is the trouble with having as many tunes as I do. Let's log in you. You'll be helpful. On release, Mimas' tune looks like an executioner. Is that because of a particular mask, or...? Right. So I'm going to go and mail myself a couple of gribbly things to show to you for the Lib sites. Because who doesn't like running multiple tunes at once? Outfit and her weapon, I see. Also, for the people who do not like winter in Worm, I can understand why some people don't like it for like the bright whiteness. Doesn't bother me at all. But I know that some people also are just not a fan of winter in Worm in general. It does make it harder to navigate. But I tell you what, it makes it easier. Spotting nodes. It's a good time to go and do your foraging and your botany, because nodes suddenly become so much easier to spot. It's also a really good time to go and find things that you dropped in the long grass. I find all kinds of tat during winter. I find keys that people have left behind. It's a really good time to find Easter eggs. If the bunny were dropping Easter eggs, which, you know, they didn't really seem to be this year, but it's a good time for Easter egg hunting, good time for going and finding, like, lost keys and random little bits of things, finding gems out in the wild that have dropped out of old Easter eggs and just sat there unnoticed for years. I still find gems in the wild. So it has its benefits. Maybe they don't quite, you know, counteract the, there we go, that's what I'm looking for. A gross thing. Let me go find another gross thing. And then find a mailbox. I'm kind of eyeballing this rather than measuring it. I think I can afford to go a little bit further though. Yeah, ancient gems from bunnies, absolutely. Yeah, rare silvers, you can still find rare silvers from I mean, it's difficult to know from which New Year's event, but every so often I come across a rare silver lying on the floor in the wild from the New Year's celebrations that happen each year. You get lost enough without the snow. Oh, Scooter. I mean, I kind of... I have a similar problem. I'm pretty good. Like, the shapes of the terrain don't change, but if I'm relying on being able to spot the type of terrain to navigate, which on servers I'm less familiar with, I sometimes am. That's when it gets tricky. Trickier. What are we looking for? Some shiny. There they are. There they are. Let's have a couple of those. Let's go find a mailbox. Now, given I'm going to actually a bit of... Nah, there's going to be a mailbox there. There'll be a mailbox there. It'll be fine. I'm going to... because holy sites don't spawn close by deeds, or not very close by deeds. Some of them tend to spawn in relatively unpopulated areas, like just generally, which is why you tend to find people building things like mailboxes and forges and useful things nearby. This one that we're going to next, though, this has actually spawned right by a fallen deed. So I am hoping that there should be a mailbox relatively easily findable once I'm there. Now, is it time yet? Meh. That'll probably do. Would help if I plotted a course though, wouldn't it? So let's do that. We're going to Celebration. Farewell Deliverance. And I'm going to get the fun getting spat out at the border. Some very green sails. I could have used the DRF ones, couldn't I? It is literally right there. Nah, it's fine. It's fine. Hello, DRF. That's how oblivious I am to where I am. No, I suppose I probably should have gone a little bit further along, but it doesn't matter. I can navigate Celebration. Celebration is probably one of my least visited servers, despite the fact that I had a deed there. What are you goat shaping yourself for, Myra? What are you doing? It is, yes. There was some very green sails back there. I momentarily thought you meant my boat, and then I was like, hang on. Ooh. And then I was like, hang on, I'm not even in the green boat. I mean, I'm in a thorn boat, but not the really green boat. I'm not saying that this is a habit, but I just... Let's just pop you in there for now. What are you climbing though, Myra? What are you doing? Once we cross the border, I'm also, because I'm going to be sailing for a little bit longer, I'll do you a quick news segment. In your mine. Oh, that kind of climbing. At least you're not going to graze your knees if you slip back down. Gimme. Are any of these current? Would I care if they were? The shiny shards are current. Not much point sacking them before I leave, though, because unless the mission is about to tick over, which it isn't quite, it's still a little way off. Wouldn't get me anything. Could have left some with some of you guys, though. That would have been nice of me, wouldn't it? So how many of you are going to be over at the Friend Along this week? I don't yet know when I'm going to arrive, but I will definitely be there, and I will probably try and stream a bit of it on one of my not usual worm streaming nights. There we go. Farewell. Right. let's send those things to me and log him out. Let's get Eshri back in the boat, because I'd hate to leave her stuck halfway through it. There we go. On celebration. So we've still got a little way to go. Yeah, I know you're going to be there, Ruffle. But Myra, I think you're going to be there as well, right? Madoon, I know that Madoon's planning to be there, but Madoon's still having to stare down the fissure and choose between friend-along shenanigans and fissure frags until the fissure pops. Tantail, you said you just gone and dropped a tent over there, so Tantail's going to their very first friend-along. Yeah. Ooh, hello. Now, having discovered that I can, in fact, examine the moons, I just want to... I wanted to just see the little bit of lore that it gave you for each of them. I think the only other one that I hadn't done was Jackal, but Jackal is at least usually quite easy to find, whereas Haven can be a bit of a pain. So many sharkies. But since I've got to do a bit of sailing for a while, I thought this might be a good time to talk about... yeah, getting there early is a good shout. I thought this might be a good time to talk about my my sort of... I don't want to say last minute, but my quite swiftly conceived plans for some new adventures on stream. So whilst we're AFK sailing, and I'll try not to kill myself. Most of you have probably now seen, but I've put up a new channel in the Coterie Discord to try and assemble some people for some epic adventures. And by that I do mean adventures on Epic. I can't promise that they will also be epic adventures, except that the Epic server has things that we don't see on PvE. It's got some interesting mobs. It's got some slightly different mechanics for things. It also has missions that actually mean stuff. So several of you I know have already seen and volunteered yourselves as sacrifices slash party members for some new epic adventures on stream. Chaos shenanigans, but not shenanigans on chaos, importantly. There is you. Yes, there's you. There's Scooter in that picture. Fighting an eagle spirit. But so yeah, I'm going to assemble some more details and stick them in that channel, and I'm not going to hold anybody to whatever they've put just yet, while we're still figuring out some of the details. But I just thought it would be quite nice to go and do a thing as a group somewhere on a new server. And I think yeah, you don't have much to lose. Absolutely. Like, it will take a little bit of time. Hopefully it will be fun and there will be some new stuff there. But importantly, because of the skill transfer restrictions with the Epic servers, we can take all of our skills over to Epic, but any skills that we gain or lose there, like if we die, which is almost certainly going to happen, those losses and those gains don't come back to Freedom with us. So that's one thing. So you haven't really got anything to lose in that sense. We don't take our affinities over, so we would have different affinities if we even manage to accrue any affinities over there, and we can lose them. It is a PvP environment, but unlike the PvP environments that are attached to the Northern and the Southern Freedom Isles, Epic is set up in such a way that you've got sort of safer home servers where PvP can occur, but is less likely to. Whereas on Chaos or Defiance, for example, you've got everybody all thrown in together, and if you step outside of the safety of a well-established deed, you are much more likely to meet a sticky end if you don't know what you're doing or if you're not in company there. I think that's a lot less likely to be true over on the Epic servers, but also I guess we're going to find out. So if you die and you lose skills, you also lose them. No memes. So if you die and you lose skills on Epic, the losses don't transfer back with you. I mean, I'm hoping Scooter's going to tell me that I'm right here, but I'm pretty sure that's right, because your skill gains don't travel back with you, and neither do your skill losses, effectively. So the skill transfer only goes from Freedom to Epic. It doesn't go from Epic back to Freedom, which is why people who have played and gained most of their skill on Epic often don't actually want to come back and play on Freedom, partly because they like Epic, but also because they like all of those skill gains just don't come back with them anyway. Also good shout. But so it's a safe-ish environment. Yeah. It's a safe-ish environment to try sort of PvP-ish, but we're going to be starting on one of the home servers. And in the first instance, kind of just getting to explore, starting sort of from scratch, because we will be basically naked when we go over there. We would need to create all of our own stuff from scratch. Probably find ourselves, create ourselves a settlement. It would be quite nice to build a something, although I have to say my settlement building skills are very squarely in PvE oriented, not with defensive design, so that would need some adaptation. But I know that people have often done kind of brand fresh new tunes on a fresh new server kind of experiences and streams and things like that. That one's been quite well done. But this is a nice and unusual opportunity to get to take our skills, but very little else, to lands which most of us have probably not explored much, if at all, and to encounter some mobs that we otherwise wouldn't have encountered over here. Some of them we might occasionally see if a GM takes that form, but they're not generally spawned in arenas for the most part, those mob types. There's also, there's also things like uniques roaming around on those servers like there are everywhere else. So I'm going to fun opportunity to use rock mine doors. 6 rings of high wall. Well, we can. Oh, I'm sure there's a lot that we can learn. Naked, cover your eyes. You can take starter items. So one of the things, I tell you what, I'm going to come back off this. One of the things which we will probably want to discuss, for example, is the extent. Is it up here? It might be up here, actually. One of the things that we probably want to discuss is the extent that we want to take stuff over. My feeling is because we will be going over, if we go over with nothing, whilst we are setting up and finding materials to make ourselves stuff, because it would be quite nice to try and create our own things from scratch. We're going to be quite squishy and won't have anything to defend ourselves with from wildlife, so I would suggest that what we probably want to do is head over with just starter leather armor, a sword, and a compass at the very least. But I can supply those for anybody that doesn't have one of those readily available with a starter tag on it, because I have a billion alts. Yeah. So a steel and flint, probably a compass, albeit a very, very slow one, and something to defend ourselves with would probably be a good shout, because that initial kind of pioneering, having a look around the land, adventuring, we're still going to be probably in a lot of danger, going around with starter equipment and stuff, but nowhere near as squishy as if we are naked and unarmed. But we can discuss that one. Hello, Shenji, how you doing? So we can take some starter items across. We will probably want to take some, not to keep long term, but just to stop us all dying as soon as we go exploring. Weapons and chain, that's first. Well, first, memers, I would say, in order to make chain, first you've got to have enough of a base to be able to work at a forge. And I'm sure that there are bases there that we could borrow and forges that we could use, but I also kind of like the idea of sort of, that's where the pioneering bit comes in. I kind of like the idea of sort of going and scouting and camping and finding a spot and then settling down and starting to find a mine and trying to make all of those things. It's sort of it's a little bit like a new server experience, only we don't all have to get our mining and our other skills up from nothing in order to be able to start making kit for ourselves. I don't want to fight you, tortoise, so I'm just going to give you a wide berth. You're doing... Oh, you got Blood of the Angels. Congratulations. Nomads on the move. Yeah. And I mean, we probably, in fairness, we don't want to go that far from Start Town initially, but it would be nice to just do a little bit of exploring, figure out what we want to do and where we want to be. And it might be that we make a small temporary place to take advantage of some local mines, or where there's people around, and make ourselves some initial kit, but then go hunting for like a more permanent spot. I don't know. That's one of the things that we'll find when we're out there. But even though skills that we gain over there we don't get to bring back, I'm kind of less sore about that in a way than I am about the idea of starting anew. Like, my problem with like brand new servers is like the grind to get my skills up to anything useful at all. I resent doing that. I'm like, I've already done this, like, on at least one toon, sometimes more than one toon. So not getting to bring skills back is counterbalanced by at least getting to take Crim's skills there, which is why I'm suggesting we take mains. Because there's very little to lose by taking them and quite a lot to be gained, and it means that we start off relatively competent, albeit naked. But Scooter says we're welcome to go and poke around their village. So, so you remember I said that that the Libila holy sites spawn not very nice things. I mean, this is just a spider, but somewhere up there we're going to find some very not normal mob spawns. And we're coming to visit a pillar of decay. These ones only spawn on, I think, tar or peat. So when I was saying that some are easier to locate than others when you know that one exists, this would be one of them, because those resources are really easy to find on a map and don't tend to spawn for very large areas. So this one has spawned on a peat field. But yeah, so that's sort of one of the things to be discussed: the parameters, what kind of adventures we want to have. And speaking of, it's nice that it's daytime at least, because when I came here earlier, it was nighttime and it was dark, and these things just came shambling out of the darkness. Oh, there it goes. So this is one of the things that a pillar of decay spawns, and it is gross. This is a simulacrum. Look at it. God, the noise as well. But yeah, one of the things that we'll talk about is sort of parameters. Like, I think, so like Myra and Bun, when you and Cloudy and Calvert went and did your sort of Prince Fancy Pants and Friends adventures over on the Northern Freedom Isles, I think you guys sort of, you had some quite strict parameters, right? You went over with nothing but, like, was it nothing but a steel and flint or something like that? But we'll try and set some parameters to get the level of challenge rating that most appeals to us, which might mean limiting what kind of help we accept, or limiting what kind of starter items we take, or how many of them we take. But beyond that point, really, I just thought it would be quite fun to get a bunch of sort of semi-regulars going and having a little explore. Also, I think I was talking to Scooter about this earlier, and I know I've spoken to other people about this as well. Like, PvP is something that a lot of PvEers just don't want to touch. There's so little that's understood about it. If you haven't actually gone and done PvP, there's very, very little to understand about it on Wikipedia. And if you go trying to look for information about it on the forums, there are one or two posts that are quite helpful, but a lot of what you find if you go looking for PvP stuff on the forums is a lot of, like, kingdom v kingdom, like, trollololling, and maybe not the most welcoming side of PvP, which also makes it not always feel like the friendliest environment to go asking people dumb questions about it. Now, I'm going to butcher this because these things also give you weird butcherables, like, anybody want some simulacrum bits? They have 2 hearts as well, excitingly. First stream was you foraging for an hour for a branch. Yes, yeah, so there's that. So all new characters with no... Yeah, I know it was all new characters with no skills. So you dropped everything. Did you not even start with steel and flint? I thought you started with, like, one thing. Yeah, and Jackal. See, likewise, you know, Jackal took ages to get a pelt. And that's kind of what I mean, right? Like, I like the kind of... the fresh tunes on a new server with, like, restrictions in place. I like that. I like those parameters. What I don't like is that, you know, hours and hours of just getting the first very basic material that you need to do fun things, or hours of grinding your mining up from nothing to be able to see far enough to find some fucking iron so that you can build anything at all. Those are the not fun parts, but those are quite significantly circumvented by taking skilled tunes over there. And also probably between a few of us we'll have some overlapping skills, but hopefully also some kind of gap filling skills. And in a way, that's a bit of worm that a lot of people don't get to experience so much anymore, because that's kind of that's sort of like the dream worm gameplay in a way, is that sort of village of people with different skill sets working together, and that's very much kind of what PvP is about as well. It's about people working, you know, not like in their own little silos on their own little deeds, but about people working together for a common good. Is it what is... I'm climbing. I was like, why is this so slow? Woo! There we go. So I'm you kept them because you didn't know that you could make them. So as we go into the range of this one, you'll see this one is also going to have an effect on the sky. This one has a much shorter range than the Mag Fissure, and that's because people have not been here praying this one up. So as we walk into its influence, there you go. Daytime, so we've got purple skies. When the sun goes down, these skies would be blood red. But it's pretty cool. This is the Pillar of Decay. I'm just going to fight this friendly, pinchy hugger friend. Yeah, and that's the thing. When you go with skills, it doesn't take you that long to get some stuff in place. So Scooter's talking about the skill curve. Now, the skill curve is something I still haven't quite got my head around, except that we are better. So we're better at most of our skills there, except fighting is harder on Epic, right? So your effective skills will be higher, Madoon. So it doesn't actually increase your skills in your skill journal. It won't go and populate the journal goals for you, but it means that your skills are treated as effectively higher and better than they are. But I think that fighting and mobs in general are harder, and I don't quite know how that works with the skill curve. I don't know if like, maybe Scooter can explain if Scooter knows, but like I gather that while we will be better at crafting, I think we are going to feel an awful lot squishier than we expect to with fighting. So anyway, yes, this is the Pillar of Decay. It is gross. It has got things in it. All kinds of fleshy grossness. It's got bones sticking out of it. It is more or less kind of what it looks like. It's a mound of flesh. Yay to be lib. But so this is one of the lib holy sites. This is a Pillar of Decay. Now, what I was supposed to do and didn't do because I came hurrying up here was to find a mailbox. So I'm just going to go and look on this fallen deed, which we are very, very close by, and see if I can spot a mailbox, because then I can show you what, if you are a lib follower or priest, you can dig out of a dig out of a Pillar of Decay. Looks identical to the fleshy mound of the Mag Fissure. It does not, Madoon. Free trip to the token this way. That looks like a trap. Oh, there we go. So that's another thing that this has been spawning. I'm going to go and don't let me get distracted and forget altogether about finding a mailbox. But one of the other things that this spawns, aside from the gross simulacrums, is it spawns wargs, which you otherwise may only have seen from warg masters spawning them. I can spawn wargs, actually. That's one of the tomes that I do have. But these ones just spawn naturally. You know what I haven't tried? My assumption is that you can't tame them. So if you have the tome that allows you to summon wargs, they arrive tame, and you can untame them and then they go hostile. But they can't be dominated, and my assumption is that they probably can't be tamed, but if I butcher this spider, we'll just double check for science. I think it probably won't even let me try. Alt mountain. Yeah. Now, what I didn't do...
Time for science.
and I probably should have done, was unloaded my horse, because it was at the Pillar of Decay that I nearly met a sticky end earlier. But I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's going to be fine. I just buried that without butchering it, didn't I? Uh-oh. I don't think I'm going to get a chance. I don't think I'm going to get a chance to go and find some meat, because he's on to me now. Unless, does this gate open? Guess we're going to find out. Nope. But look, there's a bunch of creatures in there. Right, come on then. We're just going to have to fight this one, but there is another warg in there, so I could try on that one if there's another way into those walls. Hey, buddy. And these also come conditioned as well. Your team warg. Team warg? Moomin. Wow. You're not getting a Christmas card. I mean, it needs its teeth brushing, but otherwise it's kind of cute. Look at its little nose. It's only a little one as well. It's only adolescent. See, now these walls are definitely in better nick, and I wonder if that's because there's a mag altar somewhere around here that's been repairing them. The walls on the other side are in significantly worse nick, so I imagine I can probably get in if there's a mailbox in that deed from the other side. But I'll tell you what, let's butcher this one, because it isn't just the simulacrums that have nice butcherables. You also get warg fur and tough meat, but if you're somebody who likes to collect weird shit. So, I mean, there's... has this just been collecting mobs? That's not too bad. There's at least one warg and at least one simulacrum. Make that 2 simulacra. There might be more. But we'll go and find our way in and see. Well, you'd have lost that bet, Moomin. I'm also quite a fan of wargs, though. So we're just going to do a quick run along this wall, because it is faster running along a wall on the steep slope like this than it is just trying to climb your way across, which is a thing that we learned doing the puzzle labyrinth. You do still have to climb round the corners, though. So there we go, and it is open on this side. And I've been spotted. Look at it go! Look at it lollop. It's so creepy. Oh crap, has that spotted me as well? They've got a really long pull range. Blimey. What have we got down here? Plenty of mob friends. Has he stopped? Has he just gone down? No, he hasn't stopped. Pants. Not that I'm worried about him, it's just that I kind of want to leave at least one warg alive so I can test. Oh, mind you, I've got meat right here. We'll find out quickly now. My assumption is no, but for science, yeah. Not even getting a tame option. Cannot be tamed. I can feed it, though, apparently. Not that it's hungry. Sorry, little warg friend. I could summon wargs at it, but it still wouldn't help. Apparently you can mate summon wargs. It's just they don't last long enough to ever actually give birth. Not that I've tried. They are persistent. But also that's like, it seems like they've got the pull range of like a hellhound or something. I mean, they start moving towards me from really quite a distance. They're just not quite as fast as hellhounds. I also have a what option? Look. So I do. That's weird, right? Can you just throw anything in combat without activating like what? Wait. Where's the option? Ah, so see, we could do it for science on elevation. Am I? Okay, no, so there's the ranged button. I couldn't see that whilst I was mid-fight, so maybe that's why you get a throw option. Maybe you can't change it. I don't know. But I thought you had to have ranged activated in order to be able to throw things, but apparently not. We'll try on the next one. Would anybody like some warg fare while I'm butchering? Don't think we need any more meat, though. Right. Now, if I were a mailbox, I'm kind of wondering if I should go and get my horse. There is also, I mean, I'll have a look down here because there are a few things down here. I don't think there's going to be a mailbox down here, but there might be. There's some altars and stuff down here. But it probably wouldn't hurt to have a horse on me here because this is the sort of place where these mobs have been spawning unchecked. And I don't really want to find myself in a sticky situation where I die 3 weeks in a row on stream. If I were a mailbox, would I be ruined? Wait. You learned... When did you lose... Oh, you tossed a supreme pickaxe. On a... Wow. Okay. Just with the throw action, not with ranged activated. That's good to know. Also, I very foolishly didn't refill my picnic basket. So I've got plenty of water, but I don't have a whole lot of food. What I do have, though, is a faux priest in my boat with a refresh on her. So I'm going to get her to refresh me, and I'm going to unload a horse here, just so that I've got one to go running about with. I'm seeing a lot of altars here, like a lot of altars. But I haven't yet spotted a mailbox. There's also a little bit more stuff around the front here, so I'll just have a look over there in case there's something there. You butcher something and just, hey, supreme casted pickaxe. Lucky you. Why would I be worried about whether or not I was ruined if I were a mailbox, Madoon? For no reason at all. I have to say, most of these altars, though, are mag altars, so I suspect most of them are here to be reinforcing walls more than anything else. Now it looks like there's actually a fairly good chance of there being a mailbox over there somewhere. So Try that again. Let's have you. I'm not going to bother taming it and putting gear on it because I don't think we're not going to be here so long that I actually need a geared horse. I just want a horse. But I'm just going to get Ashri to refresh me. Because that is much needed. Da-da-dum. Much better. Much better. Right. Let's go find ourselves a mailbox. Then I'm going to go back up to the holy site. Have a look around a little bit more. So that one, as you can see, that one spawns wargs, simulacrums. I think it probably also spawns scorpions, but hard to say. Ooh, that's quite nice. Where are we? I mean, on Fallen Deed, obviously. I imagine this is going to be 1 billion shards. Yeah, largely. Now's not the time to be exploring mines, but this is quite the mine. I'm just gonna have a look. Just gonna have a look. I know it's a Holy Sites stream, but you know me and mines. I sort of need to see. I mean, this is quite... Oh, you were just finishing my sentence. Okay. Chloe. Alas, this mine is so nicely made that there isn't even a wall that I can stick my head through. There were some over there sloping down into the water, but not wobbly enough for me to go peeping into the mountainside, which is one of my favourite things about going and exploring abandoned mines. I like looking for remnants of long-lost tunnels and things. Hello, Gobbin. It might be that this one spawns... We've had a few goblins here now, and several of them have been conditioned. Those could be coming from a nearby spawner, but it might be that the Pillar of Decay spawns goblins too. Now... There we go, mailbox. Da-da-dum. So, a flesh pod. That's what you get from a Pillar of Decay, and it's gross. So let's have those. And if I were a lib priest or a lib follower, then once per pulse event, I would be able to unearth one of these gross things. And you can use those to spawn your very own simulacrum, which I am not going to do because that is a weird, fleshy trophy potato kind of thing, which is going to sit in my cabinet of curiosities, which I am going to get around to building one of these days. I swear I am. I've got so many things collected for it. God, you don't see those very often. Super rare to see those. So I've got my stuff from the mailbox. Does it stay? I don't know. I suspect. No, I suspect somewhat like sort of tome summons and things. It's got quite a limited window. I don't know if it would stay for a full like 24, 48 hours. When holy sites spawn things like vengeful creatures, for example, those will stay for 48 hours unless they're slain beforehand. I don't know if that would stay for a full 48, or if it would be a much shorter one. Have we got any lib? Have we got any lib people? Ruffle, did you try spawning a simulacrum when you were playing with flesh pods on your lib priest to see what they did? Going to take a slightly gentler route up this time, but also just have a look around to see what other kinds of creatures we've got in the area. I very much doubt it is spawning the unicorns. Those, I think, will be coming out of a local spawner. About 24 hours, you reckon? Yeah, I just keep the potato thingy as well. I like unusual items. That has more value to me. You summoned one with Bun's Lib Priest. So do those work? Do those work exactly the same as the ones from the flash pods? Are they stronger or last longer? Do we know? This is quite a substantial site as well. This decayed deed. I mean, look at it. I love this kind of right at the tail end of decay. I love when you get these kind of just 2 or 3 pieces hanging on at the end of a building and the rest's just gone. And this one's unusual as well, because look at that. You've got like perfectly intact bridge. And weirdly, some floors that have lasted longer than most of the walls. And it's because they're brick floors rather than wood floors. But at some point, that's going to come crashing down. It's kind of awesome. I love it. Is that a support beam? A rare pinewood support beam as well. I want it. I want it. There's a rare thing all the way up there, and I can't. No. I don't know what I would do with a rare support beam, but now I've seen it, I'm like, I want it. Why can't I reach it? If only there were a bridge up there. Is the bridge still accessible? Is it? Yes, Mimas. So with your event window, if you haven't already figured it out, if you anywhere on the border, if you double click, it'll shrink, and you just need to touch it, find a border, double click again to open it back out, like Tantel says. Can I get up to where the rare thing is? Oh, damn it. Yes. Yes. No. Probably not. Although, you sod. It's right there. It's right there. Oh dear. And alas, that is not even intact enough that I can shuffle along the top of a wall, which is a thing that you can do. But let's just have a look up here. I don't imagine I'm going to be able to do it from up here either. No, there's not. Well, the wall directly below me is intact, but none of the rest of them are. How is that still hovering there, though? How is that still hovering there, though? It's weird the way these things decay. Oh, gone. Is there a way to hide the whole window? Yeah. Try what Ruffles said. Sometimes when you minimize things like that, they'll disappear behind something. So these are shrinking upwards, but I have sometimes accidentally like minimized trade windows, for example, and they drop right down here behind everything else. I know now's not the time to be trying to do parkour, but parkour. I kind of want to. I don't think it's going to be doable. I haven't got a line of walls that I could go across. I can't wrap around that corner. I don't think I'd be able to drop onto those, but I'm kind of tempted to try. If I leave my if I leave my horse up here somewhere nice and prominent. Although, actually, hang on. No, because this is falling down. See, we're within the perimeter of a deed. But I assume Oh, wait, is some of this actually on deed? Are we moving on and off it? Where is the deed? Okay. So no is the answer. Now I might be able to get my horse down onto that if I try. But this might go horribly wrong. Because for those of you that don't know, yeah, maybe you need to relog me, Miz. For those of you that don't know, you can ride vehicles and mounts off of buildings. So there is a floor just there, which I might be able to reach by going off the corner. So we're going to try a little bit of science, a little bit of parkour in Worm. But you know, because we're here. Like, nope, went straight through that one. Try it again, but I don't think it's terribly likely. But I might try it without my horse, which is more likely to get me damaged, but gives me greater control. So, also, look, more mine. Look at all this shiny stuff. What pretty lamps. She says, getting totally distracted. I do like the glowy mushrooms, you know. Right, don't get distracted. You had to get airlifted by a GM. Are we talking about the time that you got yourself stuck on a bit of land on the very, very edge of a server, by any chance? Or was this another time that you had to get airlifted by a GM? Right, not convinced I'm going to have any more luck as Crim, but I will try. And I'm leaving my horse up here because, I don't know, because I rode it up here. So, hello, Mox. It's not really time for you, but since we've got a button, we can have a Mox button. Hello. So, if one were to parkour, that's too low, that's no good to me. I want to parkour over to this bit if I do it over to anything. I think trying to do it off a bridge, though, is part of the problem. Because you can't really go off a corner of the bridge in the way that I want to. But I might be able to go off this wall. It depends if I'm going to fall straight through it the second I step onto it. Let's find out, shall we? Nope. Right. Parkour, parkour. Whoop. Lupus. Not a name I know. Certainly plenty of crates here. Probably not much else besides, though. What have we got in here? Bet it's all stone shards. Yeah, look at those. You can keep your stone shards, but what I was trying to make my way to, cat, you are not helping. You are not helping. What I was trying to make my way to was that, which is suspended in the air, but am I now going to be close enough? What? What? Outrageous. I am right there. You have a few stone shards at home. You the queen of understatement today, Myra. Anything exciting in any of these? Oh, monstrosities. You don't see that very often. I mean, I've got some at home, but whoa! I nearly did a calver and walked backwards off that. What have we got in these while I'm up here? Probably just more shards. Yup. Not that I'm wombling, but you know, I'm just looking on behalf of Womblers. Some Colossus bricks in that one. Some rounded stones, but not a whole lot. Marks! Oh, no! You know what? I think the Mox button can go because I'm about to push her off my desk. She doesn't stop wailing at me. Right, what was I doing? I was complaining that I couldn't reach the thing that is directly above my head, that I have no idea how it's still suspended there. So, is this how... There's Deed on Celebration, where they have managed to suspend gems halfway up in open space, like in the air. And I always wondered how they did it, and I'm kind of wondering now if it's something to do with placed or dropped items on decayed floors. But for the most part, if you destroy a floor, the things on it just drop below. She always wants food. In this case, she also wants attention, but I don't know, and I haven't really had a chance to go and experiment. Go on. I haven't really had a chance to experiment under what conditions things do and don't drop down. But there must be a way to do it, and whatever has happened, whatever they've done that means that they've managed to suspend their gems in the air is probably the same mechanic that's causing this to sit on an invisible floor. In any case, I cannot reach it despite my best parkouring, and that makes me sad. And I've got no way to get to the... in fact, there aren't upper floors. Those are just roofs. Is it because there's an item... Is it because there's an item below it? I mean, it shouldn't be. There's no collision with these things. You think they destroyed the floor? Well, that was my assumption as well, but usually when you destroy a floor, everything drops. So, for example, when I make scaffolding floors, we did this in the mansion, and then you destroy the scaffolding, the crates that you've had balanced on it drop down. So I don't know if it's to do with how the item is placed to begin with. Like, is it different for an item that's been dropped or unloaded versus an item that's been placed or anchored with, like, using the place with the anchor points? I don't know. Clearly this is something that does require some further experimentation, though. But not right now, obviously. But that must be the deed. There you go. I was going to say, that's the deed that I keep wandering on and off of. Oh, crap. Of course, I left my horse up there, but I forgot. I forgot that I had not put any gear on that horse. So that horse might be about to wander onto somebody's deed. Whoops. Let's just drop down and hope we can go and retrieve it. Otherwise, I'm going to be sad. Perimeter. That's in the... Oh, shit, it's in the village. No! Am I going to be able to stand just off the village and still lead it? Yeah, okay. Come on, buddy. Phew. That would have been awkward. That's what I get for nosying. Anyway, so that was a that was a totally unplanned and incidental segue. There was nothing to do with holy sites whatsoever. But I just I was being nosy. But if we wrap around, we're going to go back to our holy site. Yeah. I hadn't gone that far away from it, so I think they get some sort of equivalent of kind of not quite prox perms, but something a bit like that. But I have also stopped leading things on someone's deed, like where they've clipped into a fence or a wall and just not been able to re-lead them. So it's not consistent enough. Okay, so it looks like it's also spawning cave bugs, probably, because we've had a couple of conditioned cave bugs now. And the more different conditioned types of a thing I see, the more likely it is that it's the holy site that's spawning them. So, simulacra, wargs, cave bugs, probably scorpions, probably goblins. But the scorpions, I'm not 100%. We've had conditioned ones of all of those things. So I reckon those are probably probably all holy site spawns. Now, what I don't know, and I will look up while I'm fighting this thing, is what else this holy site does for you. So let's find out. Pillar of Decay. So for Libila holy sites, you get double QL gain for Lib's favourite items, which are leather. So that's a plus 20% increase to improvement rather than plus 10%. If you are a Lib follower or a priest, you get the same effect that Lib priests get at 60 favour and above, which is hostile monsters are no longer hostile towards you while you're in range of the holy site. So, for example, if you were a Lib follower praying at that, a lot of the nasty things that it's spawning would not be coming for you. But things that don't count as monsters, like bears, for example, those still would. And the Pillar of Decay, you use a butchering tool to extract one of those icky flesh pods from which you can spawn simulacra. Quality, apparently you can get rare ones out of it. The quality and the rarity and the type of tile, that's interesting. The type of tile used to hatch the simulacrum affect the size and values of several of its characteristics. So if I had a Lib priest, what I would now be doing is going and collecting a whole lot of flesh pods and then doing some science on different tile types. But I don't, not premium, and I'm not gonna go and port one over here in the middle of a stream just for science. Tempting though that is. Got a hyena there, but there's nothing to suggest that that's a special spawn. But while we're here, let's I did butcher it first. I did not butcher it first, that was the rat I also buried. If anybody would like some simulacra bits, shout and I'll pop them in a mailbox for you. No. I can't say I would be wanting to collect these or create biome. I mean, can you imagine what a simulacra biome would look like? I mean, I guess I would be tainting a load of the land and converting it to mycelium. That would probably be about as appropriate a biome as I could make for them. But, you know. Not doing a very good job with this one, am I? Let's get a little bit closer so I'm actually in range instead of just passively attacking it at poor range and without paying attention. Yeah. It would be like a little pit of mycelium. I don't even like, what would I decorate it with other than flesh pods? And I bet those decay quite fast if you drop them on the ground. They're pretty horrible, aren't they? Their backs as well, like, it reminds me of something. They do decay fast. Yeah, I suspected they would. I haven't tried because I haven't got any significant number of them. In fact, I think this flesh pod is probably the one that you sent me, Ruffle, because I don't think I've actually extracted a flesh pod on my Lib Priest. I haven't tried putting them down on surfaces in houses to see how fast they decay then. The soul gems, which come from the other Lib Holy Site, which we'll go and see in a bit, those last pretty well. If you put them on surfaces in houses, you can use them as decoration, and they last quite a good while. There it goes. Let's just butcher that one too. But yeah, I sort of, these won't look any different, I assume. I mean, we can very quickly find out. But I think they're just named differently in the same way that if you butcher an Easter bunny, you get a named Easter bunny paw, but it just looks like any other paw. Can you, wait, do leather pieces not actually have a model? Or is it just they're so flat that I wouldn't be able to see them through the snow. Don't know. But if we drop one of those, I assume that's going to look pretty much like any other heart. Yeah, pretty much. So we'll pop back up to the holy site. What time are we on in game? Gonna be my next question. I think we're going to be a way off a sunset yet. Yeah, we are. But as we get back into it, we'll get back to our purple skies. You keep yours in an LMC. Yeah, I've been keeping this one in an LMC as well. But look, the thing is, once we actually get into the range, then it becomes quite a bit harder to see because that sky changes. I'm just going to back out of it. You can see quite how gross it is. Looks like maybe these also spawn bears. I've seen a few of those black bears around. Amazingly, this is blessed, but probably because nobody's been praying at it and therefore tainting it. Hello, Goblin. He's going to come for me. But yes, not a lib, so can't pray at it or sacrifice at it. Interestingly, though... Oh, I see. Because it behaves as an altar, you can therefore get price on it. I was like, why is it giving me the get price option? There are some things in Worm which you can access characteristics for, which I'm fairly sure, not that you're not supposed to, but which there is no particular purpose to. Like, for example, at the risk of ruining one of my favourite trivia questions, you can find out the weight of a portal. Not that you would ever need to know that, but you can. You can find out the quality of a chicken. And it's the only thing I found in game where the quality goes over 100. Take care, Shinji. Now, don't think... Because these are treated like altars, you can also use these to locate holy sites. But because... Well, hang on. I don't think I will be able to do it. Because I am not. Because I'm not lib, I can't do it. You can only do that on an altar of your god or a holy site. But holy sites effectively behave like altars themselves. Now, my assumption is that this is not something that I can... Oh, somebody's been here. Not something that I can, for example, put in a crafting window. So wouldn't have any way to tell you, like, the weight of this one, for example. But... Oh, wow. A crude tower of bones flesh. Another rotting organic matter exuding ominous filth. With a malevolent aura. So nice. Let's just go and peek over here and see what, if anything. Why is there just random bits of peat lying about here? Piles of peat everywhere. I was just going to go and see if it had spawned anything interesting off the back. But I don't think it's anything else that we haven't seen. So the other one for Lib that we're going to go visit in a minute is an Abyssal Circle. So that's where we're off to next. And that one is also quite a hard spot because it is not... This one is quite high profile. Like, in terms of the model, is quite high profile. An Abyssal Circle is even harder to spot than a Mag Fissure because it is literally like runes burned into the ground. But we're going to go and find one of those next because there is one of those in the middle of Pristine. So there you go, there you have it. That's a pillar of decay in all of its grossness, spawning simulacra, and from which you can extract flash pods. The other thing that I was looking up, well, you're going to get to now, Myra. The other one has nicer items. The other one you get soul gems from, and those I do kind of like. I've got a couple of them here. And I will show you those when we get over to the other one. I was looking for the pulse effects. So you get rampage effect when these things pulse. I think I might just have to actually lead this horse off rather than bumble around. So let's just walk down there. So you get the rampage effect as one of the pulse effects when the libsites pulse, which gives you a challenge rating bonus and reduces your stamina drain. And all the time that it's active, you can, if you kill creatures, it extends the duration of it. Gets all the usual backlash effects. What I was looking for, though, I think that is the pulse effect. So, for example, on the Mag Fissure, the pulse effect is that you get a frag in your inventory at it's not equivalent to that, though, because it happens at both lib sites. Right? Hang on. You're not very into stuff that gets too demonic feeling. Yeah, it's pretty gribbly. Did a peat monster explode? It kind of looked like that, didn't it, Madoon? Just random bits of peat lying about. So what I'm trying to work out is every holy site. So there's an effect that happens when there's a pulse. There is an interaction if you are a follower or a priest, which is in this case digging out the flesh pod. But the pulse effects differ from. Oh, good, I am still leading it. The pulse effects differ from one holy site to the next, but according to the wiki, the pulse effects for both lib sites are the same, and that seems weird that they're different. They're different for each of the others, but for lib ones, they're both the same. So I don't know if the wiki is incomplete on that. Like, if you get the rampage effect and something else happens. Kind of naff if the two lib sites just do the same thing on the pulse effects. I would expect there to be a slight difference, but let's have a look. Also, in fairness, the holy site information on the wiki is sort of spread across kind of different places. So there's different information sometimes on the specifics, the specific pages than there is on the main holy sites page. But I'm not seeing anything on the main one either that would tell us anything more interesting about that. So yeah, it's kind of naff though if all they give you is rampage when mag fissures give you, frags, and mag pillars give you meteorite showers. So for pristine, I need to work out what's going to be the best way to approach. So we want to go somewhere here on the sort of the south side of the crater, which means I probably want to be sailing in from this side. So if I'm coming in from the east side of Pristine, I want to be going off of the west side of Celebration, which is a shame because we're currently over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little portal, a little border hop rather. So I'm currently here. I'm going to sail up here. I'm going to hop to something else entirely. I'll hop to Exodus, and then I will turn around and I will hop back over to Pristine to get me onto this side of Pristine. That's going to be the way to do it, I reckon. So let's go find ourselves an Abyssal Circle. Sadly, I probably haven't got my timing quite right for sunrises and sunsets, so I suspect the sun's going to go down before I actually get to the next one, which is a shame, because it means that we wouldn't be able to see what effect it has on the holy site skies. But we'll see. What are we, like midway through the afternoon? Yeah. We might get there in time, but I'm not counting on it. Also, I brought myself snacks and then I forgot all about them. But I am on to my third drink. there's a simulacrum up on the hillside. Sticking out like a beacon. You should get another drink. Go and get another drink, Ruffle. Now's a good time to go. Temperature finally dropping where you are. It's been so humid today. Horrible. Like, horribly humid. We had that lovely storm last night. Like, practically orgasmic. Gorgeous storm. And then today, it has just been humid and horrible. I showered this morning. I went out to the archery shop and spent a few hours in an archery shop getting measured up for stuff today. And, like, a couple of hours in there, and I was like, I'm going to need another shower before I stream tonight, because this feels gross. It's just, I hate it. I struggle so much in, like, heat and humidity.
Oh my.
And
all quivery.
yes, bun. I was quivery. It was making me, like, even on stream I kept being like, oh. Every time, like, there was a roll of thunder. I could feel it right in my bones. Anyway, what was I saying? One of the things that's difficult about British summers in particular is the humidity. And you see that conversation a lot with people from the States being like, we get way hotter temperatures than that, but ours is a dry heat. And, like, the difference between it is often, like, the closeness of the area, so that we don't have the aircon, because we don't get consistently hot weather enough to justify, you know, actually getting things like aircon installed in most residential homes over here. You do find aircon in you know, in shops and things, but also it's the humidity. You didn't get the storm. Oh, Madoon, you missed out. It was special. Unfortunately, from my point of view, the best of it was raging while Calvert and I were still streaming, and as soon as we stopped streaming and he pumpkined out halfway over Xanadu, I went racing outside and I was like, I missed most of it. It had just gone to like I was still getting a little bit of sheet lightning and a little bit of drizzle, but the best of it had passed. Like, the best of it really, like, really, really heavy, percussive rain, the kind that feels really good on your skin. All of that was happening while we were still streaming, so I did not get that fun bit of it. I mean, you might have slept through it. I think the storm was really just starting to reach Calvert, like, moving that way across the country. Around the time that we were wrapping up streaming. And I don't know whereabouts you're based now, but I can't imagine that you're very, very far away. But yeah, I don't know where it went overnight. I just know that the best bit of it was not the bit that I got to go out and enjoy. So I said I was going to plot a course to Exodus, didn't I? Let's do that, so we can do a double border hop. Alas, my snacks are chocolate, and the chocolate is quite melty. Okay. How's the weather doing? Breeze from the north. Yeah. Well, we're not going to get anywhere terribly fast, but at least it's not a light breeze, she says. But no, I just jinxed it. You got no thunder? You know, got no thunder but rain all day. Do you get a lot of surface water flooding where you are? We're in quite a flat area. It's not too bad, and also, like, I live quite rurally now. Like, I live in a tiny little mining village. So we're surrounded by farmland, and we don't really struggle with it here, but certainly some of the more urban environments around my corner of the world really struggle with surface water flooding. And that's just increasing year on year as the effects of climate change. We start getting more extreme weather. And the rate at which sort of the infrastructure, the rate at which we're sort of building and adding more kind of like hard infrastructure without sufficient drainage to cope with it. It's all part of the problem as well. You've got many mountains, Myra, so it makes the rain clouds stay longer. Yeah, but they're good mountains, though. Wait, roughly, you saying that where I live is flat or where you live is flat? In fairness, there is a lot of very, very flat space around here because you know, half of Kent used to be like an island. Just sort of silted up the Wonsum. Flat where you live as well. If you head over sort of to the west side, you get then you get some more hillside around here, but a lot of Kent is very, very flat. Any sign of jackal yet? No. Got some floating trees though. Thanks, worm. So I don't know what night I'm going to be streaming the friend along. In fact, it may not even be a night. I'm on leave for a week, so it could be daytime streams. You never know. So I'm going to be doing some more Skyrim streaming. some more Skyrim streaming. I'm going to be doing some more Skyrim streaming. I've been doing that a lot lately, like word salading, things like that. I'm going to be doing a little bit of Skyrim streaming because I'm enjoying Skyrim, and I am going to do some kind of a midweek worm stream for the friend along. If there's quite a lot happening, I might do more than one. But the last I checked, they still hadn't put any kind of event listings. So I know the kind of events that they run at the friend along, but at the moment I have no idea of the schedule. I don't know if they've now added one. What's wrong, Bun? You've never heard of Skyrim streaming? Yes, very pricey, very pricey. Over on Only Worms. What was this? Yeah, I haven't seen an event schedule yet for the friend along, so I don't really have a sense of what's happening when. But there's quite a few sort of community events which are fun and happen particularly at the friend along, and it would be nice to get some of those on streams. Like I will try and stream at a point where I can, for example, get at least sort of fish laps and some lawn darts streamed. Oh, it's on the spreadsheet, is it? Is the spreadsheet now linked from the forum? When I looked at the forum the other day, the events bit still said to be confirmed. But in fairness, I haven't gone looking on the Discord, and I certainly haven't gone seeing a spreadsheet. So at some point, tomorrow probably, I will go and have a look at when things are and try and pick some times in advance. Some of it's a little bit more random, but they tend to have sort of schedule windows for things like horse races and lawn darts and stuff like that. Fish slaps, I think, maybe is a little bit more loosey-goosey in terms of scheduling times. But, well, some of them also, Madoon, it's not so much about whether or not they're well organised. Sometimes it's just about... it can be quite difficult to have a really tight event schedule at an Impalong because often they get, like... whatever you're planning can get waylaid by other things. Some events run longer than others. And also, you know, if you're also hoping that GMs will show up and there will be shenanigans, sometimes that throws your event things off schedule. So different event organisers handle it differently. Sometimes we try and have quite a schedule, quite a well-planned schedule in advance so that people can plan their time around it and we keep as close to it as we can. Some events instead choose to have sort of like a few of the really popular things scheduled so that people can plan for those, but then they take a much kind of more relaxed approach to doing ad hoc games and things in between, which means that people can't plan to be there for them specifically, but it also gives the organisers more flexibility about running them around staff capacity and other events and things that are happening. Friend Along, like a lot of the other Impalongs, also has some passive events that run alongside it, like, for example, Diving for Drake. which usually kicks off usually on the second day for us in the EU. Might be the first day for them. So they'll release items that you can go, tickets into the lake that you can go diving for once a day. They also, I think, at the Friend Along, they usually do like clues, which are not so much passive, because there'll just be a point at which they tell you that the clues are now live, and there tend to be signs with clues on, and you can go trying guessing and finding treasure at different clue points. I feel like there are some other passive things though that go on there, and I don't know now. Yeah, and fish slaps can go on for quite a while if you've got a lot of people doing it. Like the Muffin Madness or Muffin Mayhem or whatever it's called. That's usually a Friend Along one, and sometimes that's a little bit more ad hoc. But as I say, if they've got a spreadsheet up with some events scheduled, I'll go and have a look at it, and I will probably then have a better sense of when I might stream to try and cover a few of those things. So if I can, I will try and give some advance notice over in the Coterie Discord. And I imagine pretty much anybody who wants to be on the Coterie Discord is probably already in there, but just in case there's anybody lurking, thanks, Ruffle. In fact, I'll open that up now because that'll make it easier to find later. But just in case there's anybody lurking who does not know what we're talking about, there's a Discord channel for the Coterie. There's a notifications channel in it. So if you're somebody who, for example, does not always get notifications from Discord until sometimes several hours after a stream has started. In fact, let me do Eshri first. You can go and set notifications to all on the stream notifications channel in the Discord, because I always post in there and at everyone just before I go live, and I try and announce streams in advance as well, so that people know when a stream is likely to be coming within sort of, and give it like a window of time of usually half an hour to an hour of the start time, whatever I expect the start time to be. Also, if you're interested in joining our epic adventures, we're organising that over on the Coterie Discord as well. Okay, so good. I know where I am on Exodus. I am currently here. And where did I want to get to on Pristine? Am I about right? I think I am, you know. Want to be crossing about NO-ish. So, et voila. Look at that. How's that? In the snow as well. So we're going to plot a course back to Pristine, and that's going to put us on the east side. Oh yeah, musical chairs as well. I forget about that one. I'm not good at that one. Pro tip, if you want to play musical chairs, you want to keybind sit and stand. Sit more than stand. I don't think you can necessarily keybind both. You might be able to. But it might be a keybind that interferes with other things. You usually have keybound there, so it might be something that you want to sort of save the... on the right click. I'll show you how to do that in a second in case anybody doesn't know, but hopefully you all do now once we've crossed. So let's just get Eshri out and in again. And me. Yeah, if you're playing musical chairs at the Friend Along, let me just line myself up, make sure I'm going the right way. I want to go over there. You want to be switching your default key, at least temporarily. So the way that you would do that is whilst sat down on a chair, if you right click, edit default action, and then instead of just having stand, which is what it would be if for me it would be disembark in a boat. If you right click it instead of just clicking it, you can then set conditions. So you can make it, for example, any chair, anytime that you're mounted or seated or whatever. Seated. And likewise, when you're standing up, you want to right click a chair again and set the default action to, on this one it would be embark, but I guess it would be sit. Again, if you right-click it, you can set more specific conditions, but it helps a lot with things like musical chairs to be able to just have a keybind sit action. The ones that tend to get slowed down, the ones that tend to get sort of slowed down and get out faster are the ones that are having to right-click sit, because you just can't do it as fast. And Ruffles posted a Discord for the friend along in the chat as well, which I'm still sat in from a few years of going. So if you want to go and join their Discord, it does help a lot because they announce certain competitions and things through it. They do a lot of communication through it as well. So they use their Discord quite a lot during the event. You resituated your tent, Tantail. Yeah. You booked a room, but you're not sure if you want one as you brought... What does the horse have to do with booking a room or not? Unless you've got a magical sleep bonus giving horse. That's mostly what the rooms are good for. Also, I just kind of like, at community events, I just kind of like staggering back to my room in the early hours and actually going to sleep in a bed. Even if I don't need the sleep bonus, I just kind of like the sort of the event feel of it. It's actually my favourite thing about community events. Not sleeping, I mean, but it's the community bit of community events that I like. You just end up like chatting all day to people. And where do you park it? Well, you've got a tent, haven't you, Tantail? When you got your tent repaired, you can just hitch it to your tent. But also, I think, yeah, I mean, you could take it to the room. If it's not branded, you could hitch it to the tent. I think there are also like pens and things you can leave it in, but because it's not branded, you probably don't want to just leave it loose somewhere just in case. But if you've got a tent down, yeah, you just hitch your horse to the tent. Hitch your horse to the tent, and then you can go and use your room as normal. The tent is important as a respawn point, but also it gives you somewhere to keep an animal safe. And then you can go and get your sleep bonus back, logging out in a bed each night. But it means if you, for example, get into trouble in the arena, you've got a close respawn point. For anybody that doesn't, though, I mean, there's plenty of priests there and we'll summon people back. So there's always summons available for people that don't have a death tab trampoline, which is what my tent is called. There you go. If you're crazy enough to go into the arena, or if you're crazy enough to go and play lawn darts, which, you know, you get more points for dying on. I'm always crazy enough to go in the arena, but I don't tend to stay in there for long. Lawn darts is fun. I like lawn darts, you know. I play it. But it's easier for me to play it now as somebody who is on Path of Knowledge, because if I die, at least then all I lose is, you know, all I lose is fight skill. I don't risk losing other things. You looking forward to the arena, Myra? Ruffle is looking forward to the arena as well. I am not going to come home with a billion creatures, but I will probably come home with some. I always go in for a little bit of arena shenanigans, but I have to say I'm usually not in there fighting. I'm usually in there hoiking creatures out for Brambleheim for the wildlife park. By normal amount of creature cages, do you mean like 2 or 3 ships worth? Because that's what the normal amount of creature cages at an Impelong is for me. I normally have 3 boats. Sometimes I only have 2. Nine cages for you. I normally have 8 at a minimum. Sometimes I take 12. But mostly so that I can have some boats going back and forth while I've got others empty for more creatures to be loaded into. Just gives me a little bit of a buffer zone if there's been a long arena. Search for a de-aging thing for your horse. So if it's already been cared for on the server that you're crossing back to, Tantail, glitches can happen, but for the most part, you should be all right. But also, if it's something that you're worried about, if he's been venerable for a long time, you know, we can drum up some reduce age runes. Now, I've crossed over to Pristine, but you know what I haven't actually done? I haven't looked at... I need to look at what my best route is going to be. So let's have a look at the Pristine community map. So we want to get to the south side of the crater, so I think we're looking for Gazmo's Harbour. Because at least there's roads up and into it from there. Yeah, okay. So we're looking to land about here-ish. Which is more or less the direction that we're heading. Also, what the hell is that? Is that just like one lone tree that's rendered? Yeah, it is. God, they do look weird in winter. Chances are pretty low of you losing it. It's possible, but if you care when you cross... Oh, champion brown bear. Is there a mission for them? Yep. Half complete as well. Do I care, though? Probably not going to be here long enough for that mission to get finished. 'Tis a bear shark indeed. A champion bear shark, no less. Now, I think that's Gazmo's Harbour. And that would be a road heading up through, so that's sort of what we want to head for. But I'm not going to wrap around the deed, because if I'm going to unload a horse here, I want a little bit of off-deed space to stop and unload it. If you want to go adventuring... I mean, Pristine is lovely, but the friend-along is right down on, like, the southern spit of Pristine, so you can get to the mainland and go exploring from there. But it's not like it's sort of, like, in the midst of wilderness to go exploring. Don't know if you saw Tantail the last... you were with us, weren't you, for the last stream that Ruffle and I did on our glamping adventures on Pristine? Because we were exploring a lot of the space around that bay on our last stream. So, like, Drake Peak, which was the place with, like, the really big markets sprawling through, and the very kind of, like, built-up, layered urban environment, and Sid's workshop when we went and dropped by Sid's Deed, Merehaven. Those are all in that region. They're over the other side of that lake, but they're on that end of Pristine. So there might be some sites to go see. Yeah, it is a lot smaller than Xanadu. Also a lot more navigable, though, and more stuff packed into that smaller space, whereas on Xanadu, you can do an awful lot of travelling for a while to come across not many deeds, at least on the smaller servers. They're slightly more concentrated. So... Okay, we should be safe here to unload. And once again, I'm not going to gear it up. I just wanted to ride. I do actually have branded horses on Pristine. So these horses, for example, that I'm crossing with, speaking of venerable horses, these are venerable horses that I'm crossing with, but these are my Rift horses, which means I have cared for them on every PvE server that I can take them to. So I'm relatively safe crossing with them. Something could still happen, and I could lose one. Like, I could get a little bit of a glitch crossing borders or something. But it's unlikely. Would be rare that happens. So I just sail about with these venerable horses when I need them, and can take them out at any server, and even though they're not branded on every server, they are cared for on every server. So we're going to leave Estuary behind. And we're going to go wandering. And because I haven't put gear on this horse, it's going to be a little bit slower, but that's all right. Although, I tell you what I am going to do. I'm carrying a shitload of stuff. Yes. So if you've already got it cared for on Xanadu, when you cross back, it will still be cared for on Xanadu. The cared for-ness doesn't drop. When you leave a server, it is bound to that server. So you can care for the same number of creatures on every different server and care for different creatures on every different server if you want to. But you will still be caring for whichever creatures you were caring for on Xanadu when you go back to Xanadu. Let's just stick these loose in there for now. I don't want to drop my flesh pod. But we can drop some of this extra tat. Why am I... Oh, it's because I've crossed over to Epic and back, isn't it?
Yes.
Thanks for the follow, Scooter. So let's just pop that one back in there. Right. Slightly better. Off we go. Now I'm hoping. Yeah, that is Gazmo's Harbour. I confidently said, that's Gazmo's Harbour, but I didn't actually check. You know, you may have accidentally lost one already. Oh, no. Well, on the plus side, if it is cared for, have you cared for it on pristine yet before you lost it? Because if it's cared for, it will certainly be easier to find. If it is not, that's when it gets a bit tricky, if it's had time to go wandering. If it's not cared for, though, you'd be much better to try and search for it now, because as soon as there's more traffic and people may be travelling the same routes on their way to the friend along, the more opportunities it will have with people passing through local to go wandering further away. Oh, I see. Wait. The one you lost on the way to the DRF. Gotcha. Okay. Now, right, let me just check my maps and see what it is that I'm looking for. So point that we're heading for is like here. X marks the spot. Which I think means, hang on, I closed that a little bit prematurely, didn't I? So I can follow this road along, and at some point this road's gonna turn upwards. Let's just see what type it is. I thought pillars, not pillars, sorry, I thought abyssal circles spawned on rock tiles, but I'm just gonna check. Yeah, good shout. Lib holy sites. Oh no, they spawn on tundra. Okay, well, there's a big old tundra there. But it will be fine. So. It's going to be somewhere up there-ish. And I have indeed missed the opportunity to see it at sundown, because that's the sun going down. Let's get my pristine map back up again. we're going to turn up here. And I'm expecting it to be somewhere over here-ish. Although, there's some activity up there. Don't know if that's holy site related. Might just be a deed. We'll find out. Oh, you finally read Valray International. You like the little story segments. Yeah. I honestly, I still haven't gone back and taken all of it in. It was there was too much in it for me, but I got sort of the highlights. I got a bit of like a bit of a gloss through, so I could see the stuff that's being talked about in there, but I haven't actually gone back through and kind of combed through it in great detail. Look at those skies, though. So good. Construction office. Right, so we're looking for tundra. So we're going to be a bit further over. Did I? Okay. The other thing to look out for when you're looking for holy sites, if you can't see the signs of them, although that might be it just there. Look at that, there's a glow. Reckon that might be it, you know? If you can't see the signs of them at a distance in some way like that, you can also start looking for conditioned mobs, because when you start seeing conditioned mobs everywhere, that's usually a sign that you are in the right place. Also, I absolutely failed to, I absolutely failed to post on Celebration when I was there. But I will at least remember to post on Pristine. Oh, look, there's another wild warg. That's how we know we're at a lib site.
What is?
Is this also spawning simulacra? There, is that a troll? I think that's possibly a troll. That's a troll. But we've got a warg. We've got some health scorps. Ted's over there killing some stuff. This one is clearly spawning raging scorpions and other kinds of conditioned... Oh god, look at those. Look at those conditioned scorpiuses. Hell scorpiuses. It is also spawning simulacra. There you go. So this seems to be spawning similar kinds of creatures to the other lib one. But Myra, if you're still with us, you're going to get to see what an abyssal circle looks like, because we're just coming up on it now. So just in the tundra.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, look at that. Also, just in case Ted hasn't seen Freedom, I should let him know. Because it's not... Oh, how are still... Because it's... if you know, if people are in local, it is good to let them know that they are on stream, just in case. So there we go. We've got that's the holy site skies for this one. We've got a kind of pinkish orange, and that's that kind of green flash as you step in and out of it's quite cool as well. Like normal skies up to. I suppose I should maybe kill some things, because there are a lot of things around here, and I'm just going to end up with a train if I'm not careful. Yeah, it is pretty. It is pretty. Come on, buddy. Down you go. That is a lot of scorpions. Hey, Ted. Good to see you. We've been trekking our way around 3 different holy sites today, so this is our 3rd one. We started over at at the Mag Fissure on Delhi, and then we went to the Pillar of Decay over on Celebration, and we have just arrived over here to come and have a look at this one. He's diseased. Look at him, he's all off colour. It's not quite jaundice, but it's not far off. Have I drawn anything else, or is it just this dude? Nah, it's just this dude. Right, so once he goes down, I'll go and give you a closer look at the Abyssal Circle. So, I'm undoubtedly going to pull some more things, but there we go. Back into Holy Site skies. Nice pinkish greenish kind of hues, and that is an Abyssal Circle. So again, if you've got, I think it might be particle effects that gets you these Holy Site effects. I don't know if that's something I can test without a reset, but I tell you what, we could try and see. What am I looking for? Particles and effects. If we turn that one off, there you go. It is that. So that's the setting that lets you see these more easily from a distance. If you've got that switched off, you won't see things like the... Interestingly, though, it hasn't come back on, and maybe now won't without a reset. But that's what will allow you to see the green beam from a Sampo. That's what will allow you to see, I imagine, the smoke from a Mag Fissure and the kind of the shiny plumes that we were getting from this just now. But with the particle effects turned off, you can see it a little bit more clearly, and that's why this one is a bugger to find sometimes until it's activated. But at the very least, because this only spawns on Tundra, at least it doesn't spawn right on top of a bloody mountain, unlike the Mag Fissures. You're just burning some sleep bonus. Well, it's a good place to do it, Ted. There's plenty of things to kill around here. Hello. Hello. Got a diseased goblin. You're looking a bit green. There we go. But yeah, so there you go. That's it's the particle effects that allows you to see those plumes. And at an Abyssal Circle, in the same way that you could extract flesh pods from the Pillars of Decay, from these, what you get are these soul crystals. And they include, for example, goblin types, which I think are not yet in the game, strictly speaking, but I imagine these are some of the goblin types we're going to be getting with goblin camps. So these weird kinds of goblins have been in the game in as much as they've been in soul crystals for a while. And what I like about these things, so you can crush these and you effectively get sort of like a mind stealer effect from them. You get to absorb a little bit of skill based on the characteristics of the soul trapped in it. So wouldn't get anything terribly exciting probably from a deer, would probably get something more exciting from the goblin brute. But being a collector of shiny things and a deco fiend, what I like about them is I like to use them as deco things, because they hover and they give off this kind of inky sort of aura, and they'll just float wherever you put them. So I've got them sort of floating over decorative bowls and all sorts of things. And if you put them down in a house, as I say, in a house on some kind of furniture, they decay really quite slowly on deed. So they are legit quite useful as decorative items, if you're somebody who is into that sort of thing. So once again, we've got blood red skies. We didn't get to see inside the other lib site at night, but it was much the same as this. Basically, at night time, it was this kind of blood red hue. I don't know if this one will give us purple skies in the daytime or if this one's got a slightly different colour shift. But speaking of which, I kept meaning to examine Jackal, just to see what it says. Stealer of Souls. Oh, Jackal. But that's your Abyssal Circle. And it does seem to be spawning more or less the same stuff as the other one, which again is a little bit disappointing. Because for most of the other sites, there is more differences. There is more that's different between the two holy sites of any given god. But for Libila, it seems that actually there's kind of a lot of overlap between the two of them, which is a shame, I think. Oh, this one's spawning wraiths as well. Hi, buddy. Now, the question is... So I don't know if anyone's ever noticed, but wraiths, when you are looking at them, are sort of translucent. You can see through them. But if you are in wraith form, you are more solid. This is something that I discovered, I don't know, at the Lunar Long last year, I think, because you can turn yourself into a wraith with yellow potions. And when you're in wraith form, you appear a lot more solid, but anybody looking at you will look straight through you, more like this one, whereas you can see bits of your own skeleton and stuff. But I like their animations. Wraiths are quite fun, and also apparently not hostile, unlike all of those simulacra, which are pretty hostile. Now there was a warg over there. There was a lot of hell scorpiuses here, and those are going to be the vicious things if you're trying to do any kind of AFK camping here. But if you're doing AFK camping, at least as a lib follower or priest, then there's not really much point in doing it if you're not, because the passive effects are not something that you would hang around for. Then at least while you're in here, you'd be getting that effect, which stops all of these things going for you. Not everything, but all of the monstrous things. And I imagine that probably includes hell scorpiuses. Haven't tested it, but that would be my assumption. So, also look, you got this blood red sky, and then you've got Valray just peeking over the top. Now, is that the one in front of me, or is it another one? That's the one in front of me, that's all right. Let's go deal with this little one. It's only a babby. Look, it's so small. But not only do these spawn conditioned things, but because they spawn conditioned things, they do also spawn champion things. And like I said, I have been semi-AFK at a lib site when it spawned a champion Hell Scorpius right by us, and those things are gigantic, like really big, genuinely horrifying, because it just trundled past and filled my entire screen, and its footsteps were heavy. And it scaled a mountain in a few steps, and I was not very impressed by that. So there you go. And I'll tell you what, I didn't go and examine this one. Let's just go and examine this one. I don't imagine this one has been... Oh no, I mean, this one's up to power 86, so clearly some people have been looking after this. Its power wouldn't be anywhere near that high, I don't think, if people hadn't been preying it up a little bit. Ooh, they had a raging rabid hyena. You know, I don't have any hyenas in the wildlife park, and I kind of feel like if I get the opportunity, I should. But we just don't see that many of them over on release. Look. He's kind of gross. Poor hyena. Oh, we've got a friend, though. Hello, Ergo. Time to die. These are a menace on PvP. Wait, what are? The simulacra? Go straight for your... Ooh. That's good to know. Scooter, I don't know if we've still got you on stream anywhere. Oh, the hyenas. I see. Wow, okay. Scooter, I don't know if we've still got you on stream, but if we do you get holy sites over on... do you get holy sites over on Epic? Yeah, because of course they're kingdom creatures. So what seem to us as just fairly innocuous passive creatures on PvE, on PvP, those are kingdom aligned creatures. The hyenas and the gorillas and the boars, as Ted says. So they nasty. So these things are like surprisingly hard. Like, this is a young one as well, and it's diseased. I think disease is a challenge rating reducer. Let's have a look. So if anybody hasn't ever looked into conditions, by the way, conditions don't just change the colour of some creatures. They do also have an impact on things like their pull range, and on their... No, I don't know! Oh, no! Nobody look. Sorry, kitty. It has an effect on their pull range. It has an effect on their effective challenge rating. So diseased... Oh, no, actually that increases them. So diseased things, for example, have... No, it is all decreased. It is all decreased. Good. I was right. So it decreases their attack speed, it decreases their attack power, and it decreases their stamina. They are less hardy and less dangerous than their just normal equivalents. But that was a young one, a young diseased one. That is about as feeble a simulacrum as you could have, and it still took a little while to take down. So when they added them on PvE, they screwed up the code on PvP. Oh, wow, shit, I didn't realise that. So you even get attacked by your own kingdom ones. Man, that sucks. So I am not a PvP player, Ted, as you can probably tell. But we are hatching plans to go and do a little bit of exploration, maybe, over on the Epic servers. Which is not as PvP as if I went over to Chaos, and I have been tempted to go and do some streaming stuff on Chaos. But so I'm just starting to learn about PvP stuff, because it is not something that's really... It's not that it's not been on my radar, it's just that it's not terribly easy to learn about, except, you know, through experience, or I could just keep running in and out of its influence. Oh, it's up there, is it? Of course, now I can't. Now I've lost those particle effects. I'm riding around in and out of its influence, and I'm like, where is it anyway? Because it is super hard to spot when you don't have those particle effects to go by. There it is. There you go. I've just ridden past it several times, been like, where is it? Pain in the arse to spot without the particles. Ah, that's cool, Ted. So are those PvP streams, like, have you got like a YouTube archive or something somewhere with your PvP streams on? If you have, post a link in the chat. It'd be really good to go and have a look-see. So yeah, there you go. Abyssal circle. Unfortunately, not much more that I can show you than this. Here we've had a look at the soul crystals. I don't think I can use a soul crystal because I am not a lib follower, but I can try. What would one have to do? Do you smash them like with source crystals? Don't actually know. Break? Let's find out. No, Vin would not approve. Does that mean if I go unfaithful, Vin would let me do it? You have to be lib. Okay. But what you would do is, there you go, much like a source crystal, you need something to smash it with, and then you would break it, and you would get a Mind Stealer-like effect, so you would just get a little skill gain, a characteristic skill gain boost as you get with the Mind Stealer enchant. But you can get all kinds of things with those. Like I say, I've got a couple here as examples, particularly because I wanted to point out the sort of the goblin varieties. There are a few. Thanks, Ted. That's cool. I should go and have a look at those. I should go and have a look at those at some point. But yeah, so there you go. That's an Abyssal Circle with its very, very, very blood red skies. Unfortunately, because the sun's only just gone down, it's going to be some time before it comes back up again. So it's probably not worth hanging around long enough to see a sunrise here. But that's 3 more holy sites. So that means that now one stream. So I have been to We haven't yet done a wellspring of Venora, but we have done an Akashic Mirror. We haven't yet done a faux wishing tree, but I have done a faux Sampo. But we've now done both of the mag holy sites because we did an Otherworldly Monolith on the stream back in January, and we've done a mag fissure today, and we've done both of the Lib holy sites today. And just in case it's of interest, for anyone who wasn't watching me back in January when I did it, I'm just going to go and dig out the January video in case anybody wants to go and have a look at it later. To just, you can skip ahead through if you just want to kind of see what the holy sites look like, because sometimes it's nice to just actually get to see them. But you could also watch it through if you're interested and see some of those other sites. Thank you for the follow, Ted. So there we go. So that was stream number 8. This is now stream number 41. So it was a little while ago, guys. But yeah, there you go. So that was the last time I went looking at holy sites on stream, back in January. I was thinking the other day with things like, you know, the announcement of Ven, and several different people that I've spoken to in the last couple of months have been sort of talking, like being like, you know, dabbling with the idea of like getting into streaming again. And I was like, on the one hand, I feel like there's probably a lot of things. Time does fly when you're having fun. I feel like there's probably a lot of kind of things I could impart in terms of things I have learned about streaming, both about practicalities, but also about kind of like the specifics of like streaming Worm, because Worm's quite weird to stream. Hey, Sky. Worm's quite a tricky beast to stream in an engaging way, because let's face it, the core gameplay of Worm is not terribly engaging to watch. It is a lot of staring at open windows and clicking stuff. But on the other hand, also, somebody, like literally just a couple of days ago, on my own home server was like, "Oh, you're that new streamer," and I was like, "Am I still new? I guess I am kind of still new." And it also feels like, you know, 7 months in, 40 odd streams in, or whatever. Like maybe it's too soon to be trying to share and impart wisdom. But you're getting a lot of sponsorship offers after that stream of Bitcraft. So, you know, maybe I have not yet been doing this long enough to really be in a position to impart wisdom. But what I would say is that the thing that gave me the courage to start streaming was getting to do some guest streaming with Calvert first. I was guest streaming with Calvert from like April onwards last year. So I got a lot of experience being on somebody else's stream before I started doing it for myself, and that taught me a lot. But also, I then had, you know, a really good friend who I could ask lots of questions about what goes on behind the scenes, and that made it a lot easier. And I know that he, in turn, when he started streaming, he was getting, you know, kind of like advice and inspiration from people like Cats and the Factional Fight Brothers and things. And I think that that's a really good way to get into streaming. It's much easier if you've got somebody, if you know a streamer, if you've got sort of like somebody who can help you figure out some of that stuff in the early days, if you've got opportunities to go and maybe either get a bit of experience with them or just kind of talk shop with them. So whilst I am whilst it would probably be a bit big-headed of me to go and try and do a stream on how to do streaming at this point, if anybody is interested in getting into streaming or has questions, even if they feel like stupid questions about it or whatever, I would be very, very happy to try and pay some of that forward and to talk to anybody about my experience of streaming, or the kind of like the software I use, the way that I set things up, like things I have learned, and maybe at some point I will feel like I'm in a place where I could do that in a stream about streaming, but I suppose I'm probably not quite there yet. We are only 7 months in after all. But yes, I don't know if anybody else was idly thinking about that kind of stuff, either with the advent of Ven or just you know, as you've been watching streams and things. But if anybody wants to talk about that kind of stuff, or wants somebody to talk to or to ask questions to, you all know where to find me. I would be more than happy to help anyone if I can to try and figure that stuff out. Worm's a decent ASMR streaming game. Well, I mean, before I went and ruined everything for everybody by befriending Calvert streams used to be kind of, I know there were some people who felt that Calvert's Scout streams were pretty kind of, you know, chill ASMR streams. He's got one of those voices that can be quite sort of, you know, sort of soothing voice to just chill out to. And I suppose I can see that kind of chill vibe exploration streams would be good for that. I don't know that I would be very good at that. Probably because I'm too chatty in Worm. I've got so many things that I think and know and love about Worm and want to say about Worm that I would struggle to do a nice, quiet, chill Worm stream. Better at doing it for something like Skyrim, where I can just sort of... Oh, look at the lightning, though. Where I can just kind of, like, not spend as much time talking about the game and just actually experiencing the game. But I've been playing Worm for 12 years now, with a bit of a break in the middle. And I've put quite a lot of hours into Worm. So it is hard for me not to have things to say about it in a way. Whereas I think a lot of people, when they think about streaming Worm, they may be afraid they'll have the opposite problem. Like, what the hell am I going to talk about for a whole stream? But the good news is you don't have to. I'm a waffler. I talk all the time. But, you know, like we said, you also get streams like some of Calvert's Scout streams where, oh, hello. It just spawned one. Not a Calvert, obviously. There we go. A young simulacrum has arrived. That's the message that you get when a holy site spawns a thing. And it'll do that about once an hour. They don't always spawn that close to the holy site. Just going to turn my horse around, though, so I can go and fight this thing. But yeah, like... Worm has its own challenges in terms of streaming it, but you don't have to be able to...
What's that you say?
Talk all of the time.
Oh, go on.
You, to be able to stream it, there is absolutely a place for kind of just more chill, laid-back Worm streams with less of this waffle. You just kind of got to find the kind of streaming vibe that works for you. And that might be different from game to game, as it is for me. What looks like Calvert? I hope you're not suggesting that simulacrum looks like Calvert. It's weird, isn't it? Like, one of the things that I think is always kind of strange about gaming communities, but particularly about ones like Worm with a really persistent community, is you get to know people really very well. You make sometimes very long-lasting friendships with people. And I don't know about everybody else, but for me, I have a very, very visual brain. I've got a very acute kind of mind's eye. I have very detailed memories and dreams and imagining, and everything in my head is visual, full color, lots and lots of detail. And so it's strange when I have these kinds of persistent friendships with people over the longer term and I don't have a picture of them in my head, and sort of my brain struggles with that a little bit. And in a way, sort of like one of my favorite kind of aha moments that I get around those is sometimes when I discover somebody that I have known for a while in game. Like, I bump into them on social media in some way and I finally get to put a face to a name. And that's like, it's both jarring because sometimes you've known them for a long time, but whatever kind of picture you've summoned up in your head, it inevitably will not be anything like they actually are. But it's also at the same time really heartening because, like, it's like a moment of recognition, and then you get to be like, oh, there you are. And I kind of love that. But it is a strange thing about gaming communities. Like, the depth of friendships, the things that you may know about some of those friends, and the things that you discuss, the hours and hours, hundreds of hours in some cases, that you spend with people without actually kind of having a picture of them in your head. Good night, Moomin. I mean, I do know what Ruffle looks like because Ruffle and I knew each other before we came to Worm, and I know what you look like as well, Madoon, and vice versa. you know, it's different in a way because we all knew each other before Worm. And there's a few people who I met through Worm, and I do know what they look like. But I sort of, in a way, because I came to Worm knowing a few people already in it, or several of us came at the same time. Like it's nice to know some of those people, but I sort of I like it. I like it when I get to collect people that I know in Worm, and I get to sort of collect their real world form and be like, aha, now I've got them. Now I've got a picture of them, and that helps a lot. And of course, everybody knows what I look like now. Okay, you knew us after Worm for you, but we were not in Worm when you knew us. So yes, that's because Ruffle, you are the great grandparent of all of us in terms of Worm introductions. You're the reason that all the people that you know in life ended up being here, sometimes indirectly. Yeah, Sky, I get that as well. I mean, I do too. I am. It might not appear it because here I am on stream, on camera as well, and I'm somebody who avoided being on camera for for most of my adult life. I was really, really averse to being photographed, definitely to being on film. And I say this as somebody who has been involved with theatre for most of my life. Like, it's not that I struggle to get up in front of people, but I really, really struggle with like seeing myself and not quite ever looking like I do in my head. And something I think probably also about being autistic and about being my image being not within my control. But that was a whole other thing. But I've been on a journey in the past like 18 months of trying to get more comfortable with being in photographs. And then like 6 months into that journey, I went and started live streaming. So this has been quite a big change for me from where I've been the last couple of decades in terms of where I am comfortable being and being seen. But also I am really, really very kind of introverted a lot of the time. And I like people, I like community stuff, but I also I've got limited social batteries. They deplete quite fast. So I'm one of those people that needs to go and hunker back down into my little hermit shell to replenish my batteries, to recover. But I think that's probably also why my streaming vibe is quite like what I try and do with streams is make it feel like you're hanging out with friends, because that's sort of that's the vibe that I'm comfortable with. That's what I like. And it makes it feel less sort of intimidating to be here on camera broadcasting myself to the world, if I kind of view it as just sort of hanging out with mates. So that's sort of the vibe that we try and cultivate. What is so Blaze is only the person that, yeah, and it's, you know, and sometimes it is like that. You sort of you make kind of like a friend or two that you really connect with and talk to a lot, but a lot of other people will just be like friendly acquaintances rather than anything deeper than that, and I think that's kind of normal. Bun, you sometimes wonder who the fuck is the guy in the mirror. Well, I think that's one of the things that I found strange about pictures as well, you know, right? Because even though I've got a very clear mind's eye, when you see yourself in a mirror, you're seeing yourself reversed. And part of the disconnect for me, I think, is I never look quite like I expect in pictures and in film, because whenever I see myself, I'm seeing a reverse image of myself. Like if I'm seeing myself in mirrors, it's not the same. And I don't, it's sort of, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's taken me quite a while to get over. And I'm still not over it entirely. Like, I'm not comfortable being on camera. I'm not really comfortable being on film, but I am more comfortable when I am on camera or on film in a medium where I get to control and sort of see what that looks like. I'm far less comfortable with somebody else taking pictures of me because I don't know what those pictures look like. I don't know where they're going to go. I just, no, don't like it. Good night, Ted. Good night. Oh, Bun. I don't know. Why do you have hair everywhere except beside your head? Aging, Bun. It's aging. Doesn't help your hermit personality that you're also a pack rat. Well, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Like finding your people in the world can be one of those things that's sort of kind of tricksy. Oh, and magically my particle effects have come back. I think they came back with a pulse, you know, because that's the only thing that's happened. When I turned them back on, nothing happened, but we have just had an abyssal pulse. And I think that turned my particle effects back on for this, which is kind of weird, but there you go. Now you get to see it as it was before I went and played with my settings. Yeah, it's sort of, it can be tricky to find kind of your kind of people, and you know, sometimes we do find our people in unusual places, and sometimes we find them, like I say, in games like this or online. And that's in particular where it gets weird for me. Like, well, you know, like I say, I can have really, really, really close and important friendships with people, and sometimes I very quickly get to know those people in real life, and sometimes I know them for years but still have no idea like what their name is. Like, I don't even know their first name, or I've got no sense of what they look like. I maybe know kind of roughly how old they are and where they're from, but often it doesn't go any deeper than that. And it's just sort of, there's a bit of cognitive disconnect there. Aging, she said. Well, no, you're not half as old as you feel. You know, no, Bun, I mean, you're still a young'un. You're only a couple of years older than me. But I have to say, my bones have been creaking for a good decade, so I get the feeling older than you probably are. Right, well, that was a nice little bit of a segue waffle. I'm glad the particle effects came back before we left. It really does mute the galaxy, though, that blood red hue. We've got Sarah's just peeping up over there. But yeah, I don't know if we particularly saw this before. It maybe only happens at night, but you do get a lot of lovely lightning storms inside Lib Holy sites. So that is quite a nice, like, this is actually not a dissimilar scene to the one that I had on warm up at the beginning, except that one was at the Pillar of Decay. You can just kind of sit here and chill and get fairly constant lightning storms if that's your jam, with Worm Skies. Youngster. In worm terms, kind of is a youngster. Not that young, though. Like, we've still got some wormians in their 20s. Not so many of them, but some. What are we doing as I go? So, Sky, I was visiting holy sites. This was the last one. So we've been going and having a look at 3 of the holy sites, which are spawned across SFI. So we went and looked at the Mag Fissure on Delhi. Then we went and looked at the Pillar of Decay. Wait, am I now calling it the right thing? It is the Pillar of Decay, right? Then we went and looked at the Pillar of Decay over on Celebration, yes. And now we've come to have a look at the Abyssal Circle, which is on Pristine. Oh, Scooter, you're a proper babby. And I thought that God, I thought Drongo started playing young Emu, because he was a babby when he started. Well, there you go. We have even younger than 20-somethings in Worm. So now you can all feel old, can't you? It must be nice to be able to stand up without saying, oof, yes, yes, yes. I don't remember what that was like. Well, much as I love lightning storms, it is 2 minutes to midnight here, so we've had a look at all of the holy sites. This one is not spawning anything particularly unusual or different compared to the last one, except that all lib things are kind of unusual. Oh, look at that shift, though. Did we get the flash of green again? Just Don't mind me, I'm just backing up to see. Because there was a weird kind of a transition through green when I moved in and out of this earlier. Right, Bun? Right? Yeah, for me too. And I still wasn't paying attention. Let me try again. Okay. So, no. Just getting the purple. I swear earlier when I went into that holy site, it transitioned through green on its way to purple. But yeah. So that one is the youngest of them. So that will be around for a little while longer. But both the Pillar of Decay over on Celebration and the Mag Fissure, those are in the final days of their life. So they won't be around for too much longer. This one I think's probably got a few days left in it. But at some point I will try and find an opportunity when we have both a wellspring and a wishing tree to do the final two that we haven't been to on a stream. You need to dance more often, Madoon, to stem the tide of aging. Yeah, more nightclubs for you. Can tell you get clicks from doing not much. I do if I because I do a lot of sitting down in front of a laptop. I find if I've been sitting too long, if I just flex one of my hips out, I can usually make my whole pelvis go, and that's always pretty satisfying. I'm not sure it's healthy, but it's satisfying. That's my highway that I'm after, I think. Yeah. I've got all kinds of clicks and grunts and all sorts. But I would, satisfying as they are, I would rather not have them at all, I have to say. They told us our 30s were going to be the prime of our lives. Fibs and lies. Like, I started getting backache before I even hit 30. Wait, you remember your brother and you getting into a car and both going, oof? Right? There we go, and Ceres is now up. 30s? Yes, Madoon, 30s was meant to be the prime of our lives. And 30s for me were just full of kind of signs of aging and health issues and all sorts. Good night, Bun. Grunt your way to bed. I am still in my 30s, just about. I've got a couple of years. I've got a year and a half left. You can't remember that far back. Now I've just missed. Oh, there we go. I haven't gone that far from the road. So having said that, that is not the road I want, but maybe that one is. We shall find out. My boat's parked somewhere down there. Somewhere. I'm sure this is fine. Fine. Mm. 30s for you is about the same, what, as where you are now, Tantail? I started getting, yeah, like, my back definitely started hurting in my 20s. But I'm not very good at stretching it, and I think that's partly the ADHD as well. I tend to hyper-focus for very long periods of time without moving much. And that ain't good for me. That's my boat, right? Yeah, cool. Yay. Yep, this is my boat. I successfully navigated my way back to it. And my priest is still in it and alive, I think. I hope. I hope, although I have to say, I can't. Yeah, I just moused over her, right? She's there somewhere in a boat. Probably, maybe. Where are you, Ash? There she is. There we go. So that is all 3 of our holy sites. Just 2 left to get at some point. You forget things all the time. Yeah, I am really bad for that as well. I don't get up and stretch as often as I should. I don't drink as often as I should. Having just reminded myself to drink. Like, I have the same problem as well. Like, I can get cramp in my hands. It was my problem with crochet, actually. Like, knitting is fine. Knitting doesn't really cramp my hands unless I'm holding badly. But crochet, within like 10-15 minutes, I've tried several different holds for crochet, and I cannot yet find a way to crochet that doesn't just really make my hands cramp up in a really painful way. And it makes me sad because I got so excited by amigurumi, and that's probably why my hands are cramping, because I picked probably the hand crampiest kind of crochet to try and start with. But yeah, I feel you there. I drink all the time as well. Like, I usually have 2 or 3 drinks on the go. I drink all day. But I am always dehydrated. I never have as much fluid in me as I should have, despite the fact that I drink constantly. My thirst meter is also broken. Yeah, I've tried the softer handled ones, and I've tried several different sort of holds and ways of doing things. Like, I've tried much more kind of like lightweight, slender ones, and I've tried the soft handled ones, and I will try again. I'm sure there's more things I can try. But I just haven't yet found a way that isn't painful, and that makes me sad, because although I have to deal with all kinds of pain all the time, nothing thus far has stood between me and a new hobby that I want in such a way that I can't do it. Speaking of pain, I've got a lovely bruise, which is not quite up yet, but sometime in the next sort of couple of days, I'm gonna... Oh, God, I can't quite show you. This section, all here, this is all gonna come up in a beautiful, big, horrible bruise, because when I was getting measured up for my bow today in the archery shop, you've got to do a bow is built basically piece by piece, and at several points you need to sort of test it as you're building it, so that you can make adjustments and add extra bits on. And I managed to thwack the soft bit of my arm with the bowstring. It's gonna be such a bloody bruise, such a bruise. You find hand sewing hurts your hand, arm, and your shoulder. Oh. You see, but yeah, and I've got my knitting needles, I don't have that problem at all. I think it's the movement with crochet. I think it's because you're doing quite a lot of movement. I think I grip too hard, and I'm finding it really hard to figure out a way to do it where I'm not over gripping, whereas knitting is really relaxed and lightweight. So I don't find I have that problem with it at all. You've never been to an archery shop. It is fun. It's the sort of thing where you have to book, like, you book a couple of weeks in advance, you book an appointment, that appointment is a few hours. And for modern archery, I mean, you can buy kind of like horse bows and things, which are the kind of the all-in-one traditional bows. But most people doing archery are using bows which are assembled sort of piece by piece. So you have a riser, which is the central bit that you grip. And that's usually some kind of metal. You can get wooden ones, but the good ones are all some kind of metal, and then you attach limbs to it, and those limbs are changeable depending on sort of like the poundage, the draw that you want. And then you've got all kinds of bells and whistles for modern archery, like like you've got sort of like arrow rests, and you've got buttons, and you've got clickers, and sights that you attach to them, and all kinds of things. So getting sort of measured up for a bow is not a fast process, but it is quite a fun one. Takes some patience though. You've got a massive bruise on your leg because you wobbled it. I do that all the time. I am forever catching like my hip or my elbow on things, or like the upper bits of my arm. There's a word for it, and I can never remember what that word is. It proprioception? My proprioception is not terribly good, so I am just forever clipping things with like an elbow or whatever. It's very, very rare that I wear jeans these days. I'm pretty much always in dresses, but when I wear jeans, yeah, door handles inevitably anytime I go past a door, there's like a 1 in 5 chance that I will accidentally catch my belt loop through the door and it will yank me back into the room. So that's a reason that another reason, one of many reasons that I don't tend to wear jeans so much anymore, because they just forever pull me back. Proprioception is inner things. What do we mean by inner things? Tell you what, let's go Googling, since we're doing happy little sale. Which side of... See, I'm not even on my deed side of pristine, so I can't even show you my deed. Where do we want to be? I have projects on both Release and Exodus at the moment, so I'm dithering back and forth between them. I think I will go for Exodus this time. No, so it is proprioception that I mean, I think. Yeah, where your body is in a space, like, and that's the problem. That's so where you go like crashing into things. Like I don't have an awareness. I don't have sufficient awareness all the time of where my limbs are relative to me. So I end up like thwacking my funny bone on things, or catching my belt loops as I go past doors, or I end up covered in like little bits of bruises and things, and that's even without the cats just sometimes excitedly launching off me. For me, it's your pinky toe, Sky. Oh, wow. Do you know what? I have... So not my pinky toe, but one of my big toes, I have a horrible feeling I may have fractured it. I don't think it's broken, because there's been no kind of swelling or bruising or anything, but I stubbed my toe really very hard and painfully a few weeks ago, and ever since then, even though there's been no bruising or no swelling, if I bend that toe too far, I get a searing hot pain, like hot white hot pain. So I've stopped bending that toe. I keep looking at it being like, I don't know if I fractured something, but it's like, maybe I just don't bend it. But the problem is I'm somebody who likes to tuck my legs up under me. Like right now I am kind of sat semi-normally, because this is a really big comfy gaming chair. It's got a lot of like supportive bits in it, but generally I'm somebody who likes to tuck my legs up under me. I almost always end up sitting on a tilt. So I tend to sit with like my hips cocked, which is terrible for your posture, by the way. Don't do that if you ever have a choice. But I'm a sort of a tilt sitter, with usually at least one leg tucked under me, or my legs folded or something like that. And that is particularly tricky if anytime you bend one of your toes, you end up with like white hot searing pain. So I wouldn't recommend it. You always, yeah, your eyesight, maybe your eyesight's part of it as well. You had foot pain for weeks. Oh, interoception. Yeah. Hello, baby. No, I'm not going to feed you right now, but maybe soon. I suppose if I'm going, it's just me blithely sailing off the side, but I should probably actually pay attention to... I think I'm going to be fine, because I'm going to drop out here, aren't I? And that's going to put me more or less the place where I want to be on Exodus. I'm just going to need to go up a little bit, slip in here, and then we'll go around this way. Just get back to Thule and wrap up there. But I've got to do the night sail anyway, so I figure I might as well keep streaming and chatting while I'm making my way back there. So, what is interoception? While we're talking fancy words. Sense that allows us to perceive and understand the internal oh, yeah, I'm shit at that as well. Didn't know there was a word for it, but yes, I'm terrible at that too. And for me, that's ADHD related. I think. I didn't know that because I was quite late diagnosed. I am not good. I am not good at, not good at knowing when I'm hungry or thirsty. And sometimes, but also sometimes even when I do know it, I still just don't do anything about it. Like, I'll observe, like, I'm really thirsty, but won't then go and get a drink sometimes, and so I just sometimes sit there in that state for ages because I'm hyper focusing on something. Yeah, my temperature regulation is shit. Which is why I particularly struggle in the heat, but also I only have to be slightly too warm. Slightly too warm before my body's like, this is intolerable! And I really struggle to sleep when I'm too warm as well, which is probably at least part of the reason why I tend to be a bit of an insomniac. Because if I can't get comfortable, if I'm not quite the right temperature, I find it really difficult to sleep. Yeah. I think a lot of these things go hand in hand with neurospiciness, but, you know, it's not exclusive to neurospiciness. But I suppose it's something that I became a lot more aware of after I had diagnoses, because then I started looking into what kind of things were common for people who had these, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that was an ADHD thing, but yeah, I've always had issues with temperature regulation. I have always had issues with not really paying attention to, like, whether I'm thirsty or whether I'm hungry, or really kind of, like, sometimes I will get up and I will not have breakfast until 8 hours into my day, and then I'll be like, whoops, oh well. Oh, apparently at some point I clicked on a guard tower called Troll Killer. I wonder where that was. Presumably somewhere back near the Abyssal Circle, maybe? We're approaching the border now, though. Oh, pants. The downside of going to Exodus, I've just realised, is I've got Eshri with me. Maybe I should go back to release. Have I got time? Are we going to cross first? Oh, we had time just. Oh, fuck, I'm going to go to the wrong side of release, though. Stop! No! Oh, nuts! That's what I get for a last-minute change of plans just as I'm approaching the border. Wah, wah. Right, let's get Eshri back in the boat. Disembark. Re-embark. And on Crim. Well, it was mostly just me being like, oh, I really should go back to release. Except the problem is, we've just arrived about here-ish on release, and I live all the way over here-ish on release. So that's okay, we're just going to do a little triple border hop, and that will fix it. So, first of all, we're going to go back to Pristine. Also, I can't see a damn thing. What is with that? Seriously, where is the land? You know, I'm just going to disembark to make sure that I've got my orientation right. Yeah, okay, so. No, there's the land. How weird is that? So, there's the land. I want to be going back off the west side because the west side is what I've just come on. So when it's misty like that, the way I orient myself is by getting my compass right, and I keep looking in the direction while I turn my boat around. So now my boat is facing west. So we're going to go back off the west side. Hop, little Crim boat, hop, hop. Sorry for anybody who's got me on their friends list. You're about to get a whole load of event spam as I keep bouncing back and forth. With my sail up. I quite like sailing in fog, it's just it's no good for navigation, but thankfully we're on servers that I tend to know fairly well. Would be a lot more of a fucker if I was over on Xanadu or Indie or something. Because on Indie I rely a lot on those big mountains and using those to navigate by sight. Right, one hop. Back to Pristine. This would be less awkward if I didn't have my priest with me. I just need to make sure I don't lose her at any point along the way. So, whoops. Let's get me back in, but also I need to make sure that she gets back in before I sail off. She's back in. Right, so that was back to Pristine. Now we're going to go to somewhere else. So second hop. Let's plot a course to, say, Exodus, which is where we were going to end up hopping to originally. So this is going to put me on the west side of Exodus, which is where I intended to be anyway. But then I'm going to do one more hop back onto Release, which will put me on the east side of Release. Sorry, Ruffle. Yeah, you're getting the both of us. Oh, don't feel bad, Tantail. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Nobody actually minds. It's just for anybody who has me on their lists. I travel a lot, and sometimes I travel with my priests, and so for my alliance mates, like Ruffle, who has me and several of my priests, woe betide her when I'm on my way to an Impelong doing multiple border hops, because me and maybe 2 or 3 of my priests, all of which she's got on her friends list, are all just, like, constantly changing servers. But nobody really minds, and it does not last for long. It's just funny enough that sometimes people PM me and they're like, "You're right over there," after I've just done like hop after hop after hop on several tunes. Right, Eshery is back in. We are on Exodus, but because I need to drop Eshery home, I'm going to take her back to Release, because she is my ping home to Brambleheim priest and my foe priest, so of course she has to be there to manage the creatures. And I have my mag priest at a portal. He is my portal ping priest. So I can drop Eshery off back at Brambleheim, and then he can summon me back to Sloping Sands, so I can go back to Exodus, because thankfully Calvert lives really very close to a start town. And I live with Calvert on Thorspring when I'm on Exodus. I'm a citizen of that deed for the past year and a bit, so easier to reach his deed on foot than it is mine from a portal, which is why I do it that way round. I did plot course, right? Yes, good. Okay. So, bye-bye, Exodus. Final border hop. And we'll be on the right side of Release for my deed. Last one. So, let's get Eshery back in the boat. And let's get me back in the boat. There we go. Triple border hop for you. And I want a tunnel, which is somewhere just around there. Little underground canal. Because my deed is just over there, on the other side of this this little spit of land. Good night, memers. Enjoy your pizza. See, now I want pizza. Biased you. Every Impelong has its own kind of character, and they're all good in their own ways. Like it's okay to have a favourite. A lot of people do have a favourite, but they've all got quite a different character to them, and I like all of the Impelongs in their own way. I like the Lunalong on Xanadu that happens sort of November, December time each year as well. I like Mardi Gras, which happens around February. On Xanadu as well, different side of Xanadu. I like the Friend-along vibes, I like the Delhi Renaissance Festival vibes, I like them all, but they all do have a slightly different feel to one another, and I kind of like that about them as well. It feels not too samey, although the sort of like the core, you know, you're there to do imping stuff and play games and have fun is the same. They all have quite a different kind of character to them. Xanadu has 2, yeah. So, November, December time, the Lunalong, which is run by Draka, who is another streamer, a bit more intermittent than me, and that is over near, I want to say Lormere. Is it? No, hang on. It's whatever one is down here. Oh no, it is Lormere, there you go. So, so that one is closest to you, Tantail. So the Lunalong happens at a deed just on the coast, to the west side of Lormere here, at Draka's deed Kappa. Yeah. But the other one, the Mardi Gras one, which happens in February, the Lunalong tends to run for a week or more, so that's quite a long one, whereas Mardi Gras is usually, I think, over a weekend. It's like maybe 2 or 3 days. That one happens over here at Dragonwick, which is Seraphina's place. So that's all the way out there, on the east side. Whoops, nearly missed my canal. But yeah, the Lunalong would be quite an easy stretch, quite an easy reach from you. I sail over to the Lunalong, and in fact, the Lunalong tends to have so many spawns that I end up sailing back and forth off Xanadu to and from the Lunalong multiple times a day, sometimes several days in a row during the Lunalong. So it is quite an easy sail onto and off the border, and it wouldn't be much further from where you are. Yeah, so Seraphina and Spacey and crew, they do the Mardi Gras. Draka and friends do the Lunalong. The Friend-along, which is the one that starts tomorrow, that's Virus MD and Goldfinch, primarily, with other friends and helpers. And then, of course, there's the Delhi Renaissance Festival, as you know, which is sort of Myra and Bun and Blaze and friends, predominantly are the people behind that. I will be going to the Lunalong, and assuming I'm still streaming come Christmas, I will probably be doing some streaming at the Lunalong as well, so I'll make sure that there's, you know, a countdown timer for it and plenty of notice to try and encourage people to go, so yeah. Very rarely we catch you on Freedom. Yeah, we got plenty of summoners between us, Scooter, so if you want to come along to the Friend-along, you know, there'll be summons aplenty. You should come and get a little bit of community events. I know you get lonely over there on over on the Epic servers. Home again, home again. Nearly. Anyway, Brambleheim is literally just there, so we're going to pass the tail end of my wildlife park full of GM-named spawns. Sail our way all the way up to the docks. I'm going to wave at some animals on the way past, though, because I love them. Even if you do move to another server, though, yeah, you know the area, and the Lunalong is perfectly sailable. Most of us who go to the Lunalong are probably not Xanadu-based, and in some ways, I think the Lunalong might be more accessible if you're not Xanadu-based, because you could just portal hop or sail up from any of the smaller servers more easily than if you were Xanadu-based but somewhere else and had to try and traverse Xanadu to get there. It's one of the ironies, I think, of Xanadu, that in many ways a lot of parts of Xanadu are more accessible if you don't live on Xanadu. You're not coming from Xanadu. So there you go, we're just now coming up on the tail end of my deed. My main home deed, because Release is sort of like my primary home server. I've kind of got two home servers now. I spend as much time on Exodus as I do on Release, and I've got like deeds and projects underway on both of them. But Release was my first original home, and always will be my main home in Worm. I am always a Releasean at heart. These are my croc pens, looking all fancy at night in the snow, with the uplighting on those willows, and the sun's just coming up behind the mountains, so we're going to get a nice transition into dawn as we sail past the wildlife park. You get lost on a little one. Yep. What's the trouble with turning my UI off? There we go, we got a Bagheera up there. My tortoises, I've got some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles here, there we go. Michelangelo, Leonardo, Raphael there somewhere. I'm still missing one of them. Yeah, my champion whale. And my crabbies. I do love my crabs. I don't know why people don't like crabs in Worm. They're so good. They're so friendly, so characterful. Got my little Santa Claus there. So many of these are puns. Champ bison in the background, for anybody who's never seen a champ bison. The pigs, so many of the pigs are puns. There's a crisp pea bacon there somewhere and a spam. There's the dawn. Absolutely. Never run out of projects. And then, so all of that's wildlife park, and then this top bit just here. This is my bit. This is where I live. This is my village. Everything else is wildlife park and animals. So, should drop this boat back. Let's get Eshri out and go and log her. And tempting as it is to sail a boat back over to Exodus, because of course Calvert and I have just abandoned my sailing boat halfway across Xanadu until our next stream. And all of my boats are now back at the Brambleheim docks, so if I want to sail anywhere from Exodus until I take another boat back, I have to pinch one of his. But I think what I'm going to do is just log in my Portal Ping Priest, rather than sail back at this time of night, and just ping myself back to Exodus. But I'll tell you what, while we're here, for those of you that saw my last stream where I was expanding the wildlife park, we put some gardens on the cat chateau and knocked some holes in the side so that the wild cats, the named cats, pet cats, could have some outdoor space. So we did that quite successfully. And I started doing some terraforming on this back field that I'll just go and show you quickly to move the bison to. Well, I've done some more work since then. So I have almost finished putting the pens down. I finished doing the terraforming that I started doing over on stream. Shaped that back curve quite nicely, I think. So that's much more of a gentle slope. I've been planting camellia hedges all the way around here to try and stop people from slipping down this slope. And I've just got the last section of pens in the middle to build, and then this will be done. But I've started building like these unfinished palisade gate entrances are sort of like a standard feature across this wildlife park. So I've just got this central section to do, and then I will be able to migrate a load of my bison over back into these pens, so we can start moving the pigs into these ones. And then at some point I'm gonna smooth off the slope here so that I can continue across from that path, continue the bison pens up to here, because I have got a random wild foal on my deed, because I have got a ridiculous quantity of GM named bison here, and because they're grazers, to be honest, there's no excuse for them being right in the middle of the site like this. I should be putting them near the road, because they're not going to starve if people go by, whereas the pigs need to be just a little bit further away from the main travel routes, because they eat me out of house and home at the best of times. I should feed these chickens as well. But I'm getting distracted. So yeah, so there you go. For those of you that saw the last stream where I was doing the terraforming project, that's where it's at now. It's further along, it's better. But I'm just going to get my priest to ping me back to Exodus, run back to Full Spring, and then we will be done for today. You need to do something similar for your farms. What, as in create out more space? Like as in like migrate your animals around a little bit to spread them out a little bit. Catio for the chateau. It is indeed. So as Aramis logged on, let's just get him summoning. So many sheepies. Look, Ruffle. Look at all of the sheepies you could come and hug. So many sheep friends. Don't even know how many named sheep I've got now. Some. See, all of these ones that have got Luna before the name, those were all Vayu spawns, and I know because Vayu does themed spawns, so these all came from different Lunalongs across the years. But when Vayu was spawning passives, he tended to do them with like a theme name. So there'll be some friend something sheep here. There you go, which are from friend alongs, and again, those will almost certainly have been spawned by Vayu because that was kind of his. He was the one who did that kind of theming. And I've got stuff spawned by I think pretty much all of the GMs. But Vayu was a particularly diligent passive creature spawner at community events, so I've got a lot of his. Sky, I have got an army of once premiumed care slot alts. So they are all cared for, but I've got about 130, 140 alts at the moment. So one of the reasons that I have so many skins, for anybody who's ever seen me die on stream, I'm sitting on all of those skins, not because I've gone actively buying them, but because I have a lot of care slot alts that just get like a 2-month premium window in which to train up animal husbandry to care for a few animals. And I have to use their marks on something, so inevitably I end up using those on whatever the monthly skins are, and it just gets me a nice little collection of skins alongside. But mostly they're like those alts are there to care for the 350 to 400 at the moment GM named creature spawns across this wildlife park, which is all open to everybody. It's a community. It's intended to be sort of, a community wildlife park. I'm just not very good at actually advertising it. Right. So there's my summon. If you'd like to see them, Sky, my last stream, like last week's stream, was I did a little tour at the beginning of the wildlife park because there are a lot of creatures there. But if you want to see a slightly more comprehensive tour, just over a year ago, the first stream that Calvert and I did together, when I did a guest stream on his, like the beginning of our streaming journey, was him coming to visit Little Venice on stream. Not Little Venice, him coming to visit Brambleheim on stream and getting a proper like on-stream tour of the wildlife park and all of the things in it, which is when we nearly got him killed in croc pens. So, whoops. So if you ever want to have a look around, you are, of course, very welcome to come in person. Brambleheim is around L24 on release for anybody who would like to come visit. Visitors are always most welcome. But you can also go and see us do a proper little tour on stream with me, pointing out fun stuff and chatting about what I did there and why, and nearly getting Calvert killed. So it's here. L24 on release, and Brambleheim covers just over a map tile along the length of this coast. And most of it, as I say, is wildlife park. It is also on the highway. Now, I think... Did I leave a horse here? I must have done, because I don't think I sailed away. Yeah, there we go. So let's get my horse back. Never know where it's going to pop up. And we'll just ride the very, very short distance back to Brambleheim. Also, I'm not saying that I dropped another deed on Exodus and I still haven't quite decided where I'm going to have my mini pop-up event site, but I may have also deeded this nice little bit of mountain, this corner just here, with a view to doing fun things with it when we finally get that jetties / piers / whatever. And that would be even easier to reach for anybody from a portal for, say, on-stream events and competitions launched at shortish notice. So I'm kind of tempted to build my mini-event site there instead of where it is currently, which is just over there. But we shall see. I mostly just wanted to be able to pull that nice little mountainous corner into Deed Planner and have a play with it. But, as I said, Calvert does not live at all far from Start Town, so this is actually my home on Exodus. That's the arena just there, and just down here is Thor Spring, which is what I'm heading back to. So this is where I live when I'm on Exodus, although I've got all of these other deeds, they're all alt-owned. Crim doesn't actually isn't mayor of a deed because she's a citizen of Thulspring. I like Worm in Winter, you know. I'm always sad when other people don't. It's definitely different, but it's charming. I like it. I like all the seasons in Worm. Hello, kitty. You so hungry? Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, that's good, right, Tantail? I mean, that's one of the nice things that Worm streams can do. They can sort of give you a little bit of a window into bits of the game that you otherwise just wouldn't see, like wouldn't see changed, or maybe wouldn't see at all. One of the things I like about Worm streams is it lets me see bits that I would never have the time to get around to all of them by myself. But you know, you get to experience them through other people. And you like chatting with us too. I mean, good. Thank you. That's yeah, I only really like Worm streams to see stuff. You know, you guys, take or leave you. And I'm back on Thulspring. So I'm going to park up at the manor, which we still haven't finished decorating. But my bedroom is done, and my beautiful hot tub. And for anybody who hasn't seen it before, I'm going to go and show you the best bathtub you have ever seen in Worm. And I'm kind of mad at myself because I spent ages doing my bubbly hot tub at Brambleheim, which I still haven't finished, and is going to take a while to finish with like proper moving bubbles. And that is pretty brilliant. But even when finished, I'm not sure it's going to be as impressive as the bathroom that I made for myself in the manor here. Just going to drink something and eat something because I've been wandering around without any food all day. I kind of outdid myself here, and I'm not sure I'm ever going to do anything quite as awesome as the bathroom that I made here. That might have been me peaking. That might have been me peaking in Worm. So I've got this nice blueberry wood bedroom, but for anybody that hasn't seen it, my pride and joy is my bathroom. Let's check it out, guys. It's so good. It's so good. Love it. Love it. Da-da-dum. Yeah. And that seems like probably a good way to end the stream. And kind of traditional as well for a stream that ends at Thulspring. End it in a bath. Hey, Night Stalker. Right? Thank you for validating me. I thought it was pretty awesome. I've even got like a little battleships. Alas, I don't yet have a rubber ducky to stick on it. Maybe one of these days they'll give me one. Oh, Tantail at the friend along. Well, if they've already put food in the larders, I'm sure they wouldn't mind. There's going to be people appearing across the course of the day, but also, you know, everybody's going to be starting to appear in earnest from tomorrow. We're sort of, so what have we got? 15 hours off now. So, yeah. You don't need to wait for the official start time. People will start pouring in tomorrow if they haven't already. And you'll find that, as with a lot of Impelongs, actually some of the activity starts before the official start time. They may not have fired up the forges and things, but people will be starting to set stuff up, so they won't mind. But anyway, yes, so I am going to leave it there, guys. Thank you for the company. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for all of that kind of stuff. Hopefully I will see some of you at the friend along across the course of this week. And like I said, I will be doing a little bit of streaming there. But it doesn't fall on my usual Worm streaming day, which is a Saturday. So I'm going to have a look at the event listings, and then I will post in the Coterie Discord, which Ruffle has very kindly pinned to the top of chat there, when I know what my friend-along streaming schedule for the week is likely to be. So if you want to try and catch the streams, you'll get a little bit of advance notice there. And if I haven't wrecked my throat, I'm going to do a little bit of a Skyrim stream tomorrow, kind of mid-afternoon UK time. So when I have knocked up a title screen for that, I will pop that in the notifications channel as well. But for now, it is quarter to 1. Have got a cooldown. We were on celebration at the start, well, an hour into stream today. Our middle holy site was on celebration, and this is a market that I haven't had on my cooldown before. So there you go. This one is, you can portal hop to this one. It is right outside of Tap Dance. So if that's a market that you've not been to, it's still quite a small one, setting itself up. But if you remember the old Tap Dance market, it's where that was. So literally just right outside the start town. One to visit if you've never been. And yeah, Scooter, if you want to come to the friend along, just give us a shout. You can PM me, or you can always just ask in freedom if you portal over, and there will be plenty of people around to summon you over, so you can come and join us for a bit of community fun for a few days while you're around. And same goes for anybody else as well. I'm sure we can sort out summons for anybody who can't get there by boat. So take care, guys. I might see some of you tomorrow on a Skyrim stream, and some of you at the friend along, hopefully, over the next week. Then PM me, Scooter. I will be around. Yeah, I'll get you over there. Good night, guys. Take care.